and keep the cold air out all winter. Your window solution is Patriot Home Solutions. Online at patriothomesolutions.com.
Here's comedian Howie Mandel for hands-free Cozy Fit Skechers slip-ins.
Yeah, I'm holding a new Cozy Fit Skechers slip-in sneaker, and first of all, I barely know I'm holding it. It's that light. You see, Cozy Fit is a cool new sneaker where the upper is made of a soft quilted material. It's kind of like a little puffer jacket for your feet, except it looks like a super stylish sneaker.
Introducing new Cozy Fit Skechers slip-ins, the latest comfort creation from Skechers. You can find Cozy Fit Skechers slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
David was in big trouble with the IRS.
At first, I didn't owe that much, but after this year, it was out of control.
Then David called Get a Tax Lawyer.
Right away, they were like, oh yeah, looks like you're qualified to save.
Get a Tax Lawyer went to work.
Should have called way sooner.
Get a Tax Lawyer has helped thousands like David fight the IRS and get a fresh start.
Call 800-745-3070. That's 800-745-3070.
Hey, if you have ugly yellow toe fungus, you gotta hear about the secret 2-minute trick that I found for my husband. It works from both the inside and the outside. Thousands of people are using it to get rid of their toe fungus. You can check it out at crystalflesh.com. Jake started off with a small spot on his big toe and then it spread and got really bad. His toes were nasty. It was so embarrassing. He was afraid to take his socks off. He hid his yellow and crumbly toes from everyone. He tried everything to get rid of it. Nothing helped. And then we found crystalflesh.com. It was the only thing that worked. In just a few weeks, his toes looked amazing. He's now walking around barefoot again. You guys need to try this. I'm telling you, this stuff is different. It's not sold in stores, but go check it out at crystalflesh.com. They'll even let you try it risk-free so you have nothing to lose. But whatever you do, don't let it get worse. You don't have to live with this anymore. Go check it out now. Just click over to crystalflesh.com.
Hi, this is Ted Cruz. Join Ben Ferguson and me each weekend for Verdict. We take you behind the scenes for the ultimate insider show. We will bring you the latest news and commentary on everything that's going on in Washington, D.C. with the most up-to-date news and reaction. Your ultimate D.C. insider's guide. Tune in to Verdict with Ted Cruz each and every week with Ben Ferguson.
Airing Sundays at 8 a.m.
Verdict with Ted Cruz. Same time, same channel.
WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM.
Start your AM with more info ASAP.
It's the only way to start the day.
Keeler on WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM.
On the line right now, Dr. Kent Hall. Doc is the former, of course, formerly with MVHS, now retired, and just recently spent some time doing some photography, Doc.
Yeah, I was actually with a group around Syracuse. So we were going around Green Lake State Park and stuff. It was a great time. Fantastic photographers. Just so, you know.
The things that you can get, especially when you're near water, we received Dave Olney, actually, who will be is now the police chief in Boonville, who will be a guest host on Friday. Dave said, you ought to see this video of an eagle coming in and catching a fish at the Sequoia Creek. We posted that, and it just took off. It was so amazing to see, and this was just picked up on that's the flood watch camera that they have over at the bridge at Sequoia Creek. The eagle swooped down, stood there for a second, then jumped in and came out with a fish. It was pretty cool to see. But I'm assuming when you're out in the wild and especially near water, you see a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah, that's one of the neat things is, you know, I go out. Honestly, I just love going out and being outdoors, and, you know, that's just great and fun. So taking pictures is just like the icing on that cake. But yeah, seeing the wildlife. I mean, I've seen moose and I've seen, coyotes and stuff. It's great just to be out in the wild and being able to kind of relax and enjoy yourself.
I think we're being a little easy on the deer. I was driving in this morning, and all of a sudden, 2 deer just run right out in front of me, and there's a line of traffic that I'm in going in one way, and then the traffic coming towards us. Everybody stopped, and then we all started, because then there's another one on the other side of the road that didn't. Now, you know that one's going to want to cross with the other two deer. These were kind of their young deer. And so now the deer goes and then stops. So we start to go and then stop because the deer looks like it wants to go again. And finally, the deer came across the road. We make it very easy for these deer. It's when you're going down the road 60 miles an hour and a deer jumps out. And it's probably because of the damage that can be caused to your own vehicle, or even to you in some cases, right? A deer can cause some real terrible accidents. Nonetheless, you could have caught that picture today as the cars were sitting there waiting for the deer to cross the highway. All right, Doc, I want to start. Steve Houck is in as a guest host this morning and has a question that is interesting that just came out of the Trump administration.
Morning, Dr. Hall. So I don't know if you've caught this over the last few days, but apparently there's going to be a new initiative regarding vaccines. They diverted some money, like $500 million, to develop a newer vaccine, all-encompassing type flu vaccine. I don't know if you've had a chance to read that yet.
Yeah, so this is an initiative actually that's been going on for or has been talked about for a while, which is instead of having to reformulate the flu vaccine every year, is to see if we can get one that is not targeting the current antigens that are being targeted for the vaccine, but to target something that is more stable within the flu virus, and so can be used over and over again. It's a good thought. I'm not enough of a virologist or immunologist to be able to say, what the issues are. I guess what I would say is, given the fact that it hasn't been done yet, it's not going to be an easy thing because it's probably difficult to actually find something that has antigenic properties, so you can make an antibody for it, and is stable within the flu vaccine, or within the flu virus. But that's if it can be done, I think that would be great, because then obviously it makes getting the flu vaccine much more much easier to dispense. So.
Wasn't there I know there was talk about having one vaccine that would cover COVID and the flu each year, and that's kind of stalled a little bit as well.
Yeah, that's really just a matter of manufacturing something that can be put together, and they don't, and in such a way that they wouldn't, compete or would not degrade each other and stuff. So that's really more of a biochemical thing than it is a medical issue.
Yeah, and then I wanted to ask a question for somebody asking about these weight loss medicines that have become extremely popular and how they're being used. First of all, one of the criticisms that you get from some physicians is that as a public, we're using these to lose weight. You lose the weight you want to lose, and then you don't change habits and you gain the weight back. The other thing is, because these are relatively new, worry about the long-term health effects. What is your take? And then I have a part two to this one.
Yeah, so first of all, they are very effective in terms of controlling people's appetite and therefore losing weight. But whoever is concerned about it in terms of, are you actually doing the work of modifying your behavior so that it can be sustained. The other thing that is true about these medications as they're currently used is that once you're on them and you lose weight, if you go off them, you end up rebound. You tend to rebound and gain a lot of the weight back, if not all of it. And so it is right now the current recommendations are that once you're on them, then you will need to be on them for basically for the rest of your life. Yeah. And so it is also they are relatively new medications. So as with anything new, you don't know long-term effects. Although, these are probably going to be safe long-term because of the way that they act.
Okay. And then the one thing I'm hearing a lot of, and I'll add on to this question, is that there are people in the know, if you will, who are microdosing. And that is the big thing right now. Can you explain what that is and why it's beneficial, if it is beneficial?
Yeah, so microdosing is taking a small amount of a medication, and where you hear about it most is they're taking small amounts of psychedelics. So it's whether it's mushrooms or LSD or something like that, and it is instead of having the full blown dissociative effect and hallucinogenic effect, it really kind of resets the neural circuitry within your brain, and we don't know a lot about it. There haven't been a lot of studies on what microdosing does in terms of long-term benefits and long-term risks.
Yeah.
But people who have done it, so anecdotally, people who have done it, and the case reports that have been written would indicate that it really does. It is a mood stabilizer, and so it can make you feel better, from whether it's depression or anxiety or something like that. But again, long term and real in depth studies just haven't been done yet.
Joe with a question. Joe Lode actually with a question for Dr. Hall. Joe, you're on with Dr. Hall.
Hey, Doc. Here's my situation. I have like a quarter of a kidney left. Is there some of these drugs that you would steer away from due to that kidney issue, or?
Yeah. So first of all, Joe, I'm sorry about what's going on with your kidneys and your kidney function. Yes, there are certainly classes of medications. Probably the most important one is the nonsteroidal anti-inflammatories, so the ibuprofen or the naproxen. They are known to cause, as a side effect, to cause damage to the kidneys that in most cases is reversible. However, if you only have 25% kidney function and they take that out, then that obviously would be a big thing for you. So that is definitely a class that I would stay away from. There are certain diuretics that you also should stay away from because they can also be harmful to your kidney.
So my issue is with the decreased kidney function or with the having decreased kidney, I also have a very bad back, and I've been going to get pain management shots, in my back, which has been great, except for the doctor I was going to see for some reason can't handle workman's comp issues anymore. And besides Tylenol, Flexerol, and hydrocodones, do you got any other maybe remedies that would be all right for my kidney that would also relieve back pain? Because the Tylenol, I'll be honest with you, I take probably 12 a day, which is probably not good either. And then the Flexerol, and then, of course, hydrocodone, they give you 10 pills, and they tell you, hold on, that's all we're going to give you for a couple of months. And so that's every day I wake up in pain. Every night I go to bed in pain. And, without the shots, due to this doctor, I'm trying to find another doctor to give me shots. I just don't know what else to do,
Yeah, no, I can understand that. And certainly, just to reinforce the Tylenol thing, okay, you really should not be taking more than 4 grams of Tylenol a day. So if you're taking 12 and they're 500 milligram, then that's actually 6 grams, and that can actually cause problems with your liver. So you need to be very careful about that. There are other medications that may be beneficial to you. I guess what I would recommend is that you once you find a doctor, there are other medications that don't necessarily impact the kidney that are metabolized in different ways that may be beneficial to you. But chronic back pain is the bane of existence of many people. So it can be very, very difficult. And it isn't just a medication thing. You also need to make sure that you're doing, appropriate exercises and, stretching and things like that, which can be obviously very difficult and very painful when you've got back pain on the one hand. But on the other hand, they actually also benefit you in terms of managing the pain. So it's really more of a holistic approach than just a medication approach for back pain.
Doc, there was I read somewhere there's a medicine that they are working on that they feel is better than the opioids. It eliminates the pain, and it is not addictive. Although, isn't that what they told us about the opioids?
Yeah, I've been following that. I will admit I don't know a lot.
Well, I think it's early, and I don't think it's out yet.
Exactly right. It is. That's exactly what they said in the 90s about OxyContin was that it wasn't going to be addictive and stuff, and obviously that wasn't true.
Yeah, that wasn't true. And then Joe, just quickly before you go, your story is crazy. You didn't know you have a piece of one kidney left, but you had no idea your scenario. It's really an amazing story.
I mean, I really didn't find out until I was 40 years old that I was actually born with one kidney, and then 3 years ago, stage 3 kidney cancer to the one that I had, which, thank God for my Dr. Schwab at Roswell in Buffalo, because he pretty much, I still have kidney function, although, with old age and with minus parts of my kidney, I'm in the bathroom a lot. What are you going to do? At least it's still functioning.
Yeah. Interesting, right? I've never really checked to see if I have the right number of organs. I'm assuming I do. I think so far any of the testing that I've had done, but to find out at age 40 you're minus one in the kidney department is a pretty crazy story. So, okay, Joe, good luck. I know that back pain can be just brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal. I'm not going to lie. I woke up this morning thinking, man, it just put me down,
Yeah, it's awful. All right, Joe, thanks, man.
Have a great day.
Good luck. Doc, one of the things that I will wrap with this, but just hearing what Joe is going through there, somebody's asking, triptan might work for back pain, TRIPTAN. I don't know, Joe. You might want to check that. And then, Doc, the one side effect that I think is not really talked about all that much when it comes to chronic back pain and chronic pain is the depression that comes along with it.
Yeah, that's very true, and that's why many people that are on that have chronic pain, whether it's chronic back pain or other pain elsewhere, will often be on antidepressants, and they actually do have an effect on the pain cycle, but it's really more about the fact that when you're in chronic pain, the effect on the neurotransmitters in your brain is such that it actually predisposes and causes depression in the majority of people that have it. So,
all right, Doc.
It is something that needs to be understood better, so that people don't think that this is just that it's because of them.
Dr. Kendall, as always, we appreciate the insight. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Have a great day, and please be safe.
Nope, you do the same.
Ferris commercial mowers set the bar with racing-inspired patented full suspension and integrated cutting decks so you can go faster, cut better, and not get beat up. Ferris Experience Suspension. Take advantage of the best financing and prices of the year. Visit us at whitesfarmsupply.com.
We're the power and power equipment. White's Farm Supply.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in focus and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. If you're a guy facing divorce, remember, Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on.
518-554-0000, 100 Great Oaks, Albany.
Good morning, WIBX 950 AM 92.3 FM. I'm Megan Stone with your news update brought to you by Adirondack Home Furniture. Oneida City Police are investigating a shooting that injured a resident. According to police, the incident happened around 12:15 Sunday on Madison Street. Officers who responded to the shots fired call found a victim at the scene, and they were taken to a hospital in Syracuse. The victim is currently listed in stable condition. Anyone with information on this incident is asked to call police at 315-363-2323, or they can leave a 100% anonymous tip to the Mohawk Valley Crime Stoppers via the P3 Tips app or by calling 866-730-8477. Police believe this is an isolated incident and not a random act, so there is no immediate threat to the public. A Utica man has been arrested after allegedly stealing from local Price Chopper stores. Utica police say officers were called to an area Price Chopper after 52-year-old Stacy Bailey was reported in the building and allegedly committing larcenies. Bailey is reportedly banned and barred from Price Choppers for repeated thefts. Bailey was arrested twice on the 14th and 15th and charged with third-degree burglary and petty larceny. Utica police say they are working with retail establishments to impose higher felony penalties on repeat offenders. A Hudson Valley highway superintendent is being indicted by a grand jury in the shooting of a food delivery worker. The details on the charges against John Riley, the superintendent of highways in Chester, are unclear. State police say a DoorDash driver approached Riley's home to ask for help earlier this month after he got lost in the rural area and his cell phone died. Riley allegedly told him to leave his property before opening fire multiple times. One of the bullets went through the driver's car and struck him in the back. A new study links fiber and carbs to healthy aging. It found that older women in midlife who have a diet high in fiber and high-quality carbs experienced healthier aging. High-quality carbs include fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and legumes, and women who ate those carbs had a 6 to 37% greater chance of healthy aging. Those who ate refined carbs, included refined grains, potatoes, and starchy vegetables, had 13% lower chances of healthy aging. The authors described healthy aging as the absence of 11 major chronic diseases, including cancer, type 2 diabetes, heart failure, and stroke. Your Weather Center forecast is next. WIBX 950 AM 92.3 FM. I'm Megan Stone.
Temperatures on the cool side, but we're going to get even cooler by midweek. Today, close to 60, partly sunny and a gusty breeze. No rain, no thunder. Tonight, we'll clear it out late. Chilly. Mid-upper 30s, North Country, maybe some patchy frost. Tuesday, sunshine near 60, showers Wednesday, only in the 50s. I'm meteorologist Ray Stijic from the Weather Channel, WIBX 950 AM and 92.3 FM.
WIBX.
This is Keeler.
WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM.
Now back to the Keeler Show.
To come in and you got a friendly face and Tim Reed too.
Because I thought, the Bill Keeler show. I knew a bunch of Keelers growing up. I went to school with Judy Keeler.
Judy?
And I knew Maureen. She was friends with my older sister.
I am not related to any of them.
Well, those were good people.
Was the accountant, and I shouldn't say because I don't know who's still around these days, but there was a Bill Keeler. It was South Utica Liquors, if you remember. The Keelers owned South Utica Liquors. No relationship, and I do feel bad at the number of, because one of them, his name was Bill, and the number of pizzas he said were sent to his house in the middle of the night. His number was listed, mine was not. Back in the day.
Back in the day.
Yeah, we would be the wealthy Keelers from the Albany area that own all the big dealerships.
Yeah, the cars.
We're not related to them either, unfortunately. Former DA over there and all. Somehow we are the Herkimer County Keelers.
Got it.
And
well,
that's us.
every group has to have
that's
people
true.
like you.
That is true, right? Probably were bandits stealing from the Erie Canal.
Gypsies, tramps, and thieves.
That is right. All right. So Joanne Gillis is with us from the Clinton Historical Society. And good morning. Let's talk about this is really about funding for Revolutionary War veterans and others in the old burying ground. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
This is pretty interesting.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. So important to be given this chance to raise awareness of our fundraising.
Excuse me for 1 second. Davey, are you out there? Just tilt that mic down just a little bit. Yeah, because you have to. Yep, that's perfect. You have
Is
to
that
talk
better?
Right into it.
Right
Yep.
into it.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that better?
Yeah, it is better.
Okie doke. Thank you.
And okay, so talk about the old burying ground.
So we have this really historic gem in the heart of Clinton, New York, at the corner of Kirkland and Norton Aves. It's the oldest cemetery in that area, and it really dates back to 1788, which is going back quite a ways.
Yeah.
It tells the story of our whole early history. If you go around the stones, you really can learn all the names of all the early settlers, the names of almost 50 Revolutionary War veterans and their stories. So
it really
fascinating place.
is when you go to an old cemetery like that. It's we were talking earlier with the Erie Canal, an old cemetery on a dirt road near our home, where almost all of them had died constructing the Erie Canal.
Wow.
And I'm assuming we see that all along this area.
Yeah.
And really all along the state.
Yeah. What a history.
Yeah.
And, the more you learn about our local history, the more interesting it gets. It's like peeling the layers of an onion. So
I feel like in the past, there were a lot of areas that did a better job, or areas around the country that did a better job preserving history. Obviously, we have, but it takes funding to be able to do the things that we should be doing, because there's such history here. These would all be amazing attractions.
Yeah, and sadly, our historical cemetery, the old burying ground, technically it's an abandoned cemetery. So there is no longer a committee with a budget. And under New York state law, what that means is that the town of Kirkland is responsible, and they do a great job. But their responsibility is to mow the grass, prune the trees. And again, nobody has a big budget for this.
Right.
So we're really lucky in Clinton that a number of community groups have taken an interest in the cemetery over the years. Everybody from the Lions Club to the Boy Scouts, VFW, American Legion, Daughters of the American Revolution, and of course the Clinton Historical Society.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So now we have this Friends of the Old Burying Ground Committee, and we've already gotten a grant to do a beautiful new sign. And that was thanks to the Hamilton College Town Gown Fund.
Okay.
We also were able to get one Revolutionary War tombstone from the Veterans Administration. We applied for a bunch. It's really hard to meet the criteria.
Yeah.
And now we still have 14 Revolutionary War heroes that we really want to honor. And that's a big part of our fundraising push.
I almost feel like you have to get these now. You have to do something with these now, because the erosion that's occurring. Sometimes it's to the point where it's almost hard to read the name on the headstone.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And in some cases, we think they probably had a stone. For example, one of the 14 veterans we want to get a tombstone for is Moses Foote, the founder of our village. So I imagine that he had some kind of a marker, but it is long since gone.
Yeah.
So, it's really important. And as you said, the timing is right.
Yeah, it's important right now. So, so who is, in general, who is buried there? Some names, some eras, some history.
I've mentioned Moses Foote, our founder. We don't know the location of his grave, but we know he's there. And the reason we have such good information about who's there is because the very first minister in Clinton was named Reverend Asahel Strong Norton, and he kept a book for almost 40 years. He recorded every single burial in the old burying ground, over 600 of them.
Wow.
Yeah, really an amazing man. And he was a meticulous record keeper. So he not only recorded the date of burial, but if there was anything unusual, he wrote it down. And that's how we know we have, for example, Native Americans and African Americans because it was of interest to him and he recorded it. And so those are the two other groups that we really want to honor with this fundraising. We're not sure exactly what form the marker will take. Maybe a boulder for the Native Americans, we're thinking, and most likely a bench for the African Americans. But again, kind of the forgotten people in our history.
That's awesome. Now, how do you raise the money?
Well, we've done a couple of things. We have a pretty good sized membership at the Clinton Historical Society. We've done a direct mailing. We're doing a lot of interviews with radio and other personalities to try to raise interest.
Yeah.
So those are kind of the things. And we're working with the Community Foundation, which have been great partners for small organizations like us.
We are the keepers of all of this. If we do not... If we do not act, we lose it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And one of our other partners on this, I'm happy to say, is the Clinton Middle School, which has a history club. And they are helping us build this bench for the African Americans. Their shop is actually part of our efforts. And that's really important because we have to get the next generation involved, Bill, or we're in trouble.
All right. If somebody would like to make a donation, I'm assuming you could do it with a physical check or online.
Absolutely. And right now, I'm just going to read the website address because it is through the Community Foundation.
Okay.
So it is www.foundationhoc.org, then /CHSOBG. So that's kind of a mouthful. But if you go to the Community Foundation, basically, you can find us.
Yeah.
You can search for us there.
All right.
Yep.
And you can give online. And if they wanted to mail in a check, they could do that as well.
They could also mail a check directly to the Community Foundation or to the Clinton Historical Society.
So we have Real Men Get Tested, Tim and I, and tested for cancer. And it's really just promoting men who tend to procrastinate a little bit and don't get tested. We go through the Community Foundation as well. It's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they handle all the legalities for you, all the things.
Yes.
It makes it tight, clean, and much easier.
Exactly. Takes all the administrative burden off so that you can focus on the issue.
You'd have to become a 501c3 on your own. That would be very expensive. And then to maintain that every year, all of a sudden now you got to raise so much just to stay operating.
Yeah. And of course, the Clinton Historical Society is a 501c3, but nonetheless, we're a small organization, and it's wonderful to have a partner like Community Foundation.
Well, Real Men Get Tested are not, but I think me and Tim are when it comes to it. So, all right, anything else you want people to know?
Just thank you for giving us this opportunity, and thank you to this community really for being interested and supportive of our history, because that's what's going to keep it preserved for the future.
Oftentimes we travel elsewhere to see history when it's right here in our own backyard.
It's right here.
Yeah.
You know, businesses come and go, but history is forever.
Exactly.
And, we're a very historical area. We should really, probably a bad word, exploit that as best we can in regards to it and celebrate the history.
Celebrate it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We appreciate it. We'll have details up on our website at WIBX950.com.
BME Company Business Machines and Equipment has been delivering office solutions for businesses in upstate New York for over 30 years. Their success comes from finding the right document management strategies and software solutions for streamlining workflows. Simply put, BME provides fast, reliable service at the best value to keep your business running smoothly. Through BME's strategic partnership with Hummel's Office Plus, they distribute supplies for just about every machine in your office at a great price. BME welcomes the opportunity to serve your business, selling, leasing, and service in Canon and Kyocera devices, as well as FP mailing solutions. An important part of BME's culture is supporting the communities they're fortunate to work in, and BME recognizes that support is one reason for their success. The future of business in BME's area is encouraging, and the company is grateful to be a part of that growth. Call BME Company at 315-574-8200 or visit BMEcompany.com. BME Company Office Solutions. Made simple.
Business owners everywhere are raving about ZipRecruiter's new feature, Zip Intro, which does the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates to meet with you as soon as the next day. So we decided to call up some of these employers and hear their stories. Today, we're on the phone with Pilates studio owner Crystal M. Harris. Crystal, How has Zip Intro helped you hire?
Well, I was opening a Pilates studio in McDonough, Georgia, and I needed to staff up quickly. Zip Intro did the work for me. It helped me find enthusiastic candidates who matched my qualifications perfectly.
That's great.
Yeah, I had my Zip Intro session on Tuesday, did all the interviews by Thursday, sent out the offers on Friday, and they started on Monday. Because Zip Intro did most of the work, I saved so much time.
Absolutely. And to our listeners, you can try Zip Intro for free right now at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Zip Intro. Post jobs today. Talk to qualified candidates tomorrow.
Why do we say we bring the fun to your backyard? Because at Tucker Backyard Pools and Spas, that's exactly what we aim to do. And a fiberglass pool can bring years and years of backyard fun. A fiberglass pool from Tucker Backyard is more affordable now than ever. Plus, with durability, low maintenance, and of course, beauty, it's the perfect fit for your backyard. Come visit our unique indoor showroom, including 3 fully functional pools, giving you a full hands-on experience. Or try our new interactive showroom and design the pool or spa of your dreams. Interact, design, review, and save. With Tucker Backyard service and knowledge, now is the time to stop by and learn more about putting the pool of your dreams in your backyard. Tucker Backyard Pools and Spas, 8086 Seneca Turnpike, 1 mile west of Big Apple Plaza. Online at tuckerbackyard.com. Visit Tucker Backyard Pools and Spas, Seneca Turnpike. We bring the fun to your backyard.
Hello, everyone in Central New York. This is Dave Letterman, your old TV pal. Remember me? I'm supposed to say something witty and funny here about Bill Keeler, but I've got nothing. Ever see a picture of this guy? That's a joke in itself. Anyhow, here's Keeler on WIBX.
Let's go to the phone lines. Phone number 315-736-0186. Wayne in Utica. Good morning, Wayne. Good morning.
Hey, what's up, guys?
How you doing? What's happening?
Well, first, I started out the day by trying to go fishing on the Oriskany Creek, and the part that I fish, I had to cross over almost up to my knees, and I get over to the spot, and where I normally stand is not there.
Oh, because the high water.
Yeah, every time I cast out, it's coming right back to the shore. So
yeah.
I'm not going to fish today.
Wayne, by the way, for those that may not know, is a big. You fish how many days a week do you fish?
Well, twice if I can. I try to go in before work or after I take my son to school. I go for like an hour and a half, and do what I can.
You've sent us
and then leave.
some pictures of some amazing fish. Yeah, but I got to tell you, it rained and rained and rained. It's the water is still really, really high, even with a couple of days of sunshine. It's still wet out there.
I'm afraid that I'm going to end up down by you guys and come up in Lock 20 there.
That's right. It'll wash you away.
Over to my spot, yeah. So I wanted to tell you a quick story about this whole beaver thing. This Good Samaritan that turned it in.
This is very interesting because we're talking about the beaver that ended up
that was missing,
that escaped
cauliflower.
The zoo, cauliflower. That we've now found is deceased. All right, but you think you spotted him days before?
I know.
Okay.
Because I know. As I was coming home from work, it was about 11:51 on the 3rd, and I looked over and I go, wow, I've seen a lot of roadkill, but I've never, I know what a beaver looks like, and I know what a woodchuck. And anyways, I'm looking over just as you get before the French road turn there on Route 12. I'm looking. I'm like, did this beaver make it over? And I'm looking over. I said, it is. It's a beaver. So when I identified it, I pulled over. I turned around. I called up the zoo. The girl that answered didn't act like she could care less. She goes, wait a minute. Let me get you to the exhibit, blah, blah, blah. She puts me on a loop. Nobody answers. The lady that's supposed to be at the exhibit is probably out drinking coffee. Anyways, nobody answers. So I call back. I said, listen, the only thing I'm trying to do here is let you know that your beaver is laying dead on the side of Route 12. And just have somebody, I don't want to get in between. I'm letting you know. Go over and get it before it's,
before somebody takes
rotted.
it.
Yeah, go over and just.
When I say somebody takes it, at some point the town will, or whoever maintains there will.
Beaver collectors.
Well, the beaver collectors will come in.
Or somebody like the birds. The birds.
Or there's this guy named Doug Boone who lives up in the North Country, related to Daniel, and loves him a good beaver hat. Maybe it was raccoon. Oh, sorry. Okay, go ahead, Wayne. I'm sorry. So you found cauliflower?
No, I'm telling you.
I know you did.
That was him. I know that was him. But like I said, when they answered the phone, they could care less. That and I was like, just send somebody over there with a shovel or whatever, pick it up, bring it back to the zoo, do your thing,
and then they'll know with the.
But they were like, oh yeah. Okay, we'll put it on our list of things to do. And then I hear you say some good Samaritan went and brought it in. Well, I wasn't picking the dead thing up and sticking it in my trunk. I don't care what it is. Yeah. Maybe a dog I would. But that I'm like, this good Samaritan. Yeah. I'm the one that called it in.
So, so you feel that they didn't pay attention, and then somebody else just found it, brought it
Not
in.
enough, because it was days later that they're reporting that this guy picked it up instead of them. They should have been the ones to go over right then, because it's only blocks away from the zoo.
Yeah.
So they could have went over, picked it up, brought it in, and then they find out you said they had a chip in it or something. What's up with a chip being in something and them not being able to?
Well, that was what I wondered too. Is that if there is a chip, it must have been something that they could identify, but not a tracking chip.
Right.
But I'm wondering. I'm trying to figure out where. So I know the zoo is over there by the Parkway, and you said this is on 12.
As you're going down, you're going past Oswego Street, and you remember the old Scheitelman building there?
Yes. Yep.
That wholesaler, as you're just passing there, between there and where Shenantry's turn would be, not exactly, but it's somewhere in that area right there. As I was going by, I'm like, wow. And like I said, I've seen a lot of roadkill, but this thing had a tail,
it was
a beaver's tail.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, did it make it this far over?
Yeah, that is quite a distance. That's crazy. I would not know the difference between a beaver or a woodchuck, to be honest, if I was driving down the road. But
the tail
is the key.
The bulkiness of that tail.
So thank you for trying to do a good deed. I'm sure they appreciate it. There must have been somebody maybe who was new or who knows what answering the phone and didn't pass it to the right people. That's what I would assume.
I said, this isn't a prank.
Right, and I bet they're also getting a lot. They probably also got a lot of phone calls.
Every squirrel.
Every squirrel, yes. Nice beaver.
Yeah.
If you remember that from Naked
Gun. They're probably thinking this is a prank.
Sorry. Right. They were probably thinking it was a prank. All right.
And I did. I told them, I said, not a prank.
Not a prank. Right. Well, that sometimes when someone says not a prank, it is definitely a prank.
It ends up being a prank, right?
Right. It ends up being a prank. All right. Okay, Wayne. Well, thank you for that input here this morning.
I don't need a feather in my cap, but it just, like I said, I just know that I'm the one that did it. They didn't go over and follow up.
All right. All right. Well, now, good. Thank you, Good Samaritan, Wayne.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There's your feather.
Okay. Thank you. As my wife would say, what do you want? A sticker?
Or a medal or a chest to pin it on.
That's right. All right. Thank you, Wayne. Okay, so there you go, and it is sad. I mean, sadly, they were very distraught over losing the beaver.
You want to recycle, but you're not sure what's recyclable, what goes in your weekly recycling bin, or what goes in the trash. Wheelock Disposal Service, your recycling experts, wants to give you some helpful tips in determining what waste goes where. You can recycle lightweight cardboard in your weekly recycling bin. Lightweight cardboard examples are tissue boxes, toilet and paper towel tubes, cereal, cookie, and pizza boxes. Before recycling, please remove all food. For more information, go to wheelockdisposal.com. Your recycling experts.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. But don't just take our word for it. Here's Jackie and Veronica, real customers.
I didn't know that I could get something for a lot less money that was actually better than who I was with before.
Anytime anybody complains about their cell phone bill, we say, you've got to check out Consumer Cellular.
Our US-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Just call or click to see how much you can save today. Because when it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com. That's 1-888-FREEDOM or consumercellular.com today. Real people pay to share their opinions in this ad. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
Each week we do Mohawk Valley Crime Stoppers Wanted Person of the Week. And this week, in different agencies, roll up each week. This week it's up to the Rome Police Department. And Scott Hogue on the line right now. Good morning. Let me get the right mic up here for you. I got you now. Okay. Each week we do a Wanted Person of the Week. Who is this week's Wanted Person?
This week, we're interested in locating Aaron M. Brown. Date of birth of 8/10/1991. He's a 33-year-old white male, about 6'1", 160 pounds, blonde hair, blue eyes. Last known address out of Utica. The incident involves Aaron is wanted on 2 different bench warrants issued from the Rome City Court.
Okay.
Brown is showing several warrants with at least 5 other agencies and does not respond or appear for his court dates as required. Brown has no known addresses believed to be in Utica. The 2 bench warrants we have out of the city of Rome, one is for criminal possession, controlled substance in the 7th degree, which is a Class A misdemeanor, and he has a bench warrant for several traffic infractions for aggravated unlicensed operation. The other agencies have multiple charges on him as well. So we're looking for the assistance of the community to help us locate him and bring him to justice.
Okay, and this with Crime Stoppers, Mohawk Valley Crime Stoppers, an agency that I'm involved with, is really just a group of volunteers that facilitates an organization that allows people to call in a tip if you to make your community safer, and it's all completely anonymous. Sometimes there's a reward, a cash reward that's involved, but there's numbers. We'll put it all up in our story on our website at WIBX950.com. You can do the app. You can go online. But, Sergeant, it's all completely anonymous. That's the beauty of this.
And very easy to use.
Yep. All right. Thank you for your time. We appreciate what you do.
Thank you. We appreciate what you do for us.
All right, Scott. Thank you. Scott Hogue with the Rome Police Department.
This is Louisa. Recently, she got help going online.
Okay, so hit that green button.
This is her first video chat.
Oh, Louisa? Oh my gosh, there she is.
And the first time she's seen her niece in 5 years.
It's so good to see you.
See what the internet can help you do at everyoneon.org or call 1-855-387-9166 to find a free training class near you.
Oh, I've missed you.
Brought to you by Connect to Compete and the Ad Council.
From the Stanley Theater Studio, WIBX Utica, Rome,
W295EI,
WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM, a Town Square media station.
Former President Biden has cancer. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Less than 4 months after leaving the White House.
Diagnosed with prostate cancer characterized by a Gleason score of 9 with metastasis to the bone. While this represents a more aggressive form of the disease, the cancer appears to be hormone sensitive, which allows for effective management. The former president's team says he's now reviewing treatment options, and now political leaders on both sides of the aisle are offering their support to Biden and his family.
That's Fox's Brooke Singman. President Trump wished former President Biden a fast and successful recovery. A few hours from now, the president will have phone calls with Russian leader Vladimir Putin and then Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky trying to end their war. U.S. Ambassador to NATO Matt Whitaker just told Fox.
You know, I think President Trump is uniquely positioned to get a deal done if a deal is to be had.
There is no end to Israel's war against Hamas. Its military issued an evacuation warning today to residents in Gaza's second largest city after more deadly airstrikes over the weekend. Israel is going to allow food to be sent into Gaza over starvation concerns after recently blocking food and aid deliveries. The House Budget Committee last night advanced what President Trump calls one big beautiful bill. Speaker Mike Mike Johnson says
you're going to have historic savings for the American people, historic tax relief for American workers, historic investments in border security.
Though 4 Republicans who voted present, not yes, still pushing for more spending cuts. Democrats warn the GOP cuts to Medicaid will take health coverage away from Americans in need. The manhunt continues in Louisiana for 7 escaped prisoners.
If anybody harbors them, if anybody aids them, and we find out, we will arrest you.
That's Governor Jeff Landry. 3 others were captured Friday after breaking out of the Orleans Justice Center. America's listening to Fox News.
Living with everyday pain is like having a voice that always says, no, you can't do that. No, you better sit this one out. It's no way to live. So if pain is affecting you, see how Relief Factor can help get you back to life on your terms. One where you say yes a lot more. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor's unique formula of natural ingredients does not just mask pain, it helps reduce or eliminate it for good. Whether it's your back, neck, joints, or muscles, Relief Factor can help you, as it has for so many others. So call 1-800-4RELIEF and give Relief Factor's 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, less than $1 a day to get your life back. Just go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF, and see how you can say yes to more of everything you want.
Former FBI Director James Comey, fired by President Trump in his first administration, is under scrutiny now in the House.
Republicans August Pfluger and Laurel Lee have introduced a resolution to urge, quote, relevant authorities to take all appropriate actions to ensure Mr. Comey can never serve in the federal government again. This comes after the former FBI director posted on social media shells in the sand arranged to spell out the numbers 86 and 47, which Republicans believe was urging violence against President Trump. Comey has deleted the post and says, quote, I didn't realize some folks associated those numbers with violence. According to Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, the Secret Service is investigating. On Capitol Hill, Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
That U.S. credit rating downgrade Friday by Moody's could lead to a Wall Street sell-off this morning. Dow futures are down. In golf, Scotty Scheffler wins another major.
Last year's PGA Championship is mostly remembered for Scotty Scheffler, the top-ranked golfer in the world, getting arrested after misunderstanding traffic directions from a police officer on his way to the course. Charges were eventually dropped, and this weekend, Scheffler issued his own verdict, beating the field by 5 strokes to win the tournament for the first time.
I definitely have a few jokes that I want to say that I'm probably going to keep to myself. Last year, sometimes it still doesn't almost feel real, but I can tell you it's very sweet sitting here with the trophy this year.
Scheffler, courtesy of the PGA. And this gives him 3 majors and 15 tour wins at the age of 28. Since World War II, only 2 other golfers have done that before turning 29, Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus. Greg Thompson, Fox News.
In the basketball and hockey playoffs, Game 7 blowouts. The top seed in the West in the NBA, Oklahoma City, routed Denver by 32 to advance to the conference finals. While on the ice, defending champion Florida topped Toronto 6-1 to move on to the NHL Eastern Conference final. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News.
Good morning. WIBX 950 AM 92.3 FM news time is 7:05. I'm Megan Stone with your news update, brought to you by the new destination Kia of Utica, Commercial Drive, Yorkville. Right now it is 45 degrees under cloudy skies. Your full WIBX Weather Center forecast is coming up next. Oneida City Police are investigating a shooting that injured a resident. According to police, the incident happened around 12:15 Sunday on Madison Street. Officers who responded to the shots fired call found a victim at the scene, and they were taken to a hospital in Syracuse. The victim is currently listed in stable condition. Anyone with information on this incident is asked to call police at 315-363-2323, or they could leave a 100% anonymous tip to the Mohawk Valley Crime Stoppers via the P3 Tips app or by calling 866-730-8477. Police believe this is an isolated incident and not a random act, so there is no immediate threat to the public. The chief of the Syracuse Police Department is revealing more details about the shooting incident in the city. Officers went to an address on North Townsend Street last Tuesday after getting a shots fired call. Chief Joseph Cecile said the first officers who arrived at the scene came up with a plan and that 42-year-old Donnell Hogan fired one time toward an officer. Hogan died in an exchange of gunfire, and Cecile says the officers followed department policy. Attorney General's office is currently investigating. The White House says it is in talks with Walmart after the retail giant said it will soon raise prices due to tariffs. On NBC's Meet the Press, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said he's spoken to Walmart CEO, who has now agreed to eat some of the tariffs. On Saturday, President Trump posted Walmart should stop trying to blame tariffs as the reason for raising prices, and went on to say they should eat the tariffs. Walmart's CFO said the retailer will try to work with suppliers to keep prices as low as they can. And an ingredient found in many energy drinks is linked to a higher risk of blood cancer. Taurine is an amino acid that occurs naturally in parts of the human body and promotes the growth of leukemia cells. It's also commonly found in energy drinks, protein powders, and some foods like meat, fish, and eggs. Researchers from the University of Rochester found that those leukemia cells can use the additional taurine to grow and spread. Your WIBX news time is 7:07. Here's your Weather Center forecast, brought to you by John's Mobile Home Parts and Accessories in Oriskany Falls. For all your mobile home needs, it's worth the trip. Visit johnsmobilehomeparts.com for more info.
We knew May we could still get frost. We had actually talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Frost advisory. Yeah, it does cover up Oneida County for tomorrow morning. Some spots close to freezing, especially into the North Country, but you don't have to be at 32 to get frost. A lot of cloud around today, some sun, a breeze, and about 60. Tonight will clear and cold, upper 30s to mid-30s with areas of frost, especially in the North Country. Sunshine tomorrow, low 60s. I'm meteorologist Ray Stagik at the Weather Channel on WIBX, 950 AM and 92.3 FM.
5 degrees and cloudy. Let's take a look at sports, brought to you by IBEW Local 43. The Syracuse University men's lacrosse team now knows its opponent in the Final Four. The Orange, they're battling Maryland on Saturday at 2:30 p.m. at Gillette Stadium. SU advanced to the Division I national semifinals for the first time in over a decade after their win over Princeton. Maryland defeated Georgetown yesterday. They beat Syracuse when the two teams played earlier this season. The NBA Conference Finals, they're finally set. The Thunder crushed the Nuggets 125-93 in Game 7. They advanced to the Western Conference for the first time since 2016. They faced the Timberwolves Tuesday to battle for a spot in the finals. In the East, the Knicks, they defeated the Celtics and now will host the Pacers to tip off the conference finals on Wednesday. In the Eastern Conference Final in the Stanley Cup playoffs, it's set. The Panthers taking down the Maple Leafs 6-1 in Game 7. Brad Marchand had a goal and 2 assists and is now at a career 5-0. In the Game 7s against Toronto, Florida advances to battle the Hurricanes on Tuesday. Meanwhile, the puck drops in Dallas for the Western Conference Final on Wednesday. The Stars taking aim at the Oilers in Game 1. The Yankees, they captured their rubber match against the Mets after earning an 8-2 victory in the finale from the Bronx. Cody Bellinger led the way at the plate after going 3 for 4 with a grand slam and 6 RBIs. Ryan Stanek suffered the loss after allowing 4 runs, one of them earned in his relief appearance. The Pinstripes lead the AL East. They host the Rangers for a 3-game series beginning tomorrow. And the Mets, they visit the Red Sox for a 3-game set beginning tonight. Major League Baseball suspending the Phillies closer for a performance-enhancing drugs. Jose Alvarado has been banned for 80 games. He is also ineligible to pitch in the postseason. It said Alvarado used a testosterone drug in the offseason to help with weight loss and didn't knowingly take it for performance enhancement. Scotty Scheffler is a major champion once again. Scheffler won the PGA Championship after finishing atop the leaderboard at 11 under par. It's the third major championship in Scheffler's career. Harris English, Bryson DeChambeau, and Davis Riley finished tied for second at 6 under par. Jordan Spieth did not complete the career Grand Slam after failing to make the cut. Christopher Bell is $1 million richer after winning the NASCAR Cup Series All-Star Race from North Wilkesboro Speedway. The driver of the number 20 car overtook last year's winner, Joey Logano, to secure the victory. Ross Chastain, Alex Bowman, and Chase Elliott rounded out the top 5 finishers. The field returns to regular season next Sunday at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And rookie Robert Schwartzman has won the pole position for the Indianapolis 500. He had a 4-lap average speed of 232.79 miles per hour during the Firestone Fast 6 this week. Schwartzman is the third rookie racer to claim pole position for the race and the first since Tio Fabi in 1983. Takumo Sato and Pato O'Ward will start alongside Schwartzman on the front row for the Indy 500 this Sunday. And journalism winning the Preakness Stakes on Saturday. They're going to head on to Saratoga Racecourse for the Belmont on June 7th. Your WIBX news time is 7:11, 45 degrees and cloudy outside. WIBX 950 AM, 92.3 FM. I'm Megan Stone.
Utica in the Mohawk Valley, Kevin Fear from Mattress Express. We not only have our new store in Cortland, New York open, our new store in Auburn, New York open, but our Memorial Day sales are on. Why do people come to Mattress Express? Because no one else in New York State has all the brands under one roof. And during our Memorial Day sale, save up to $1,350 on these brands: Tempur-Pedic, Stearns & Foster, Sealy, Purple, Puffy, the Smart Bed by Instant Comfort, which you should compare to Sleep Number, Posh and Lavish, Therapeutic, the largest selection of flex head beds in New York State, and we have now added Simmons, Beauty Rest Black, and Avocado, the big online brand, and Serta Eye Comfort. Nobody has all these brands under one roof. Take up to 5 years to pay with no money down for qualified buyers. We have no credit check payment plans available as well. Call 1-800-NEW-BEDS, go to mattressexpressny.com, and shop with confidence with a 30-day price guarantee.
Not everyone who handles your personal information is as careful as you are, which might explain why there's a victim of identity theft every 5 seconds in the United States. Fortunately, there's LifeLock. LifeLock will monitor hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity. And if your identity's stolen, a U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it guaranteed, or your money back. Save 40% your first year with my name, Clay, as your promo code at LifeLock.com. LifeLock. For the threats you can't control, terms apply.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
It's Brian Kilmeade.
But I believe that Putin has totally misunderstood Donald Trump being patient.
It looks like Vladimir Putin wants to make Trump look bad. Trump has taken political risks by going out of his way to say, I just want to be an arbiter to bring peace, knowing that most people know that the enemy and the villain is clearly Vladimir Putin. I think the president knows it, but it doesn't do any good for him to keep bringing it up.
Brian Kilmeade, weekday mornings at 9 on WIBX 950 AM and 92.3 FM.
This is WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM.
Established, reputable
news the Mohawk Valley can trust.
Stephen this morning, hard to have, I'm not reading all of your comments, Stephen, but I'll put a few in here. Hard to have a successful 100 days when you're left with the crap from the last administration.
Actually, I think it makes it easier.
But I can tell you, the stock market and where we are with pricing and all of that stuff, that is a direct correlation to the tariffs. Direct. The stock market reaction, direct, has nothing to do with Biden. So had you left the economy alone and said, this is the economy we've been left, we have to deal with it, I would buy that, Stephen. Unfortunately, after all of this is Trump's economy. And that's not to say, however, that the move to bring manufacturing back to the United States, albeit, I think, a tall order, because it's going to take a long time to do that. But I'm not ruling out that things turn around in Trump's favor in about, maybe 6 months. So you get through the bad times right now, and then right around the time for the midterms is when you really want things to begin to pick up. Trump does say that the egg prices are down by 92% right now. That is absolutely not true.
I was going to say, mathematically, that doesn't make sense.
The reality is, if you say it enough times, then it will be true, which is why I continuously tell people I'm 5'6".
So
how tall am I? 5'6".
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Most people
That's
wouldn't
what I've heard.
Most people wouldn't think of 5'6" as being something to be proud of. You haven't met me. Let me go to Guy Benson, who's on the line right now. You can hear Guy Benson here on WIBX nightly from 7 till 10 p.m. Guy, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks so much for coming on. You heard a little of what we're here. We are at 100 days. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's been a mixed bag. Overall, Trump has been a huge success on the border.
Yeah.
I mean, it is incredible. You're talking about the egg prices claim down 92%. He can make that claim accurately on illegal border crossings. It's actually even better than that.
Yeah.
So they took a complete catastrophe down there, right, and turned it around without a single new law being passed, which I think has to be said.
Yeah.
Because the Joe Biden-Kamala Harris line was, oh, well, our hands are tied. Well, Congress needs to act. That just wasn't true. It was never true. People didn't buy it. Trump has proven it, and now he's going through this difficult process of deporting as many of these people as possible, starting with disproportionately criminals. And, of course, the media is fighting him every step of the way. You've got these activist groups and the Democrats rallying around gang members. I mean, it's really a sight to see. And if that were the number one issue in the country, I think Trump's numbers overall would be a lot better. I think what we're seeing in terms of the economy, though, is why his approval rating has slumped as quickly and dramatically as it has. A lot of people, maybe not even directly feeling the impacts of this yet, but they're bracing for impact, and they are not sold that there's a plan on the tariffs, and then all the uncertainty around that has knock-on effects for businesses, et cetera. So I think there's a lot of people saying, look, we basically elected this guy to make the economy 2019 again, and instead we have this big, gigantic worldwide experiment that everyone's freaking out about, and it's a gigantic gamble, and we'll see how far he's willing to take it. The biggest thing, guys, is, and I was talking about this on the show yesterday, it's kind of hard to figure out if they are planning to make a bunch of deals and therefore lower tariffs and call it a win for the American people, or if they're planning on keeping the tariffs in place indefinitely to bring in revenue and using that to cut taxes, because Trump says both of those things, and it can't be both. It's one or the other. And people are like, I'm not sure there's a plan here. And so, look, if he can pull out of this thing and figure out the off-ramp where, he can declare a win for the country and things settle down and they get these tax cuts extended, I think that there's, a brighter future ahead. But right now, it's a rocky start in terms of public opinion. And because the number one issue always is the economy. So look no further than that.
The other part, I think that, and I'm not sure how much it really plays a role. You're right. The economy is everything, it seems, because that's how, that's your livelihood. That's how you're able to enjoy life or have to cut corners. But the world stage, Trump making a comment to the Atlantic, they say that he said the difference in this term is that I'm ruling America, but also ruling the world. That is not going as well as expected. I think that there's a bit of a rude awakening that seems to be occurring when it comes to Vladimir Putin. And that's a bit on the scary side when it comes to this Russia-Ukraine war.
Well, I mean, I think it was always bombastic to say, if I'd come in and solve the war in a day, right, as he claimed. I do think he's right when he said that it wouldn't have started if he were president. I think that's true. But that doesn't matter, right? We have the war. Putin did what he did. I think he saw weakness in Biden and figured he would get away with it. And now the question is, was ultimately Putin right about that? I mean, their counterproposal that the Russians just put out is, just insulting. It's not serious at all. And the question is, does Trump at some point start to say Putin is mocking him? Right. And then does Trump's mentality on that shift at all? The Canadian people just sent a very hostile message in their election last night, which I think is such a shame because Pierre Poilievre was so talented and was going to win by 20 points. And I think Pierre would have been a much better partner to the United States. But, you know, when you're talking not just terrorists, but all the 51st state stuff insulted a lot of people. They're like, all right, we're going to vote for whoever, hates Trump the most, which is what they've done in Canada. I mean, I think Trump brings a completely different approach to foreign policy than Biden. That's a good thing. I think Biden-Harris was a total failure on that front. I think standing much closer to Israel is a positive development compared to the last team. I also think this idea of like, just the sheer power of, tariffs and Trump negotiating is going to turn everything around instantly, even if we are extra hostile to people and treat them shabbily. I don't think that is working out terribly well right now, especially if, the Chinese are really throwing their weight around when it comes to the trade war, starting to, pressure countries in Asia not to cooperate with us while we are seemingly unclear on what we're even asking for in these negotiations. And if a bunch of bad actors around the world start to see that Trump isn't getting his way on any of these fronts, then I fear that they'll get more emboldened and be like, oh, he's bit off more than he can chew. The only counterpoint to that is, be careful, because a lot of these foreign leaders were like, mocking Trump and saying, he's crazy, he can't really do anything, and then you're Soleimani and you're dead.
Yeah.
So he still has an enormous amount of power, and I think some of the instincts are very good. I just feel like right now it feels like in the first 100 days they have tried to do so much, some of which was let's say half-baked, and there's so much lack of clarity around some of these things that the American people kind of walking on eggshells right now.
Yeah. Speaking with Guy Benson from Fox Radio, the Guy Benson Show here on WIBX from 7 to 10 each night. Are you a couple minutes, Guy? Are you okay, or you have to split?
Yeah, I got a couple minutes.
Okay. I do want to, it is interesting to watch all of what's happening, how quickly everything happens. And that's just, that's quite phenomenal when you wake up in the morning and 2 or 3 things have changed and then changed again by the time you take your head off the pillow.
Sure.
That's crazy. And then some of the news reporting that's coming out of Iran, and of course that explosion, it looks like the United States is negotiating with Iran. But it's interesting to see how it wasn't that long ago, only a few years ago, if a woman was caught showing her hair or showing her face, she would be beaten and tortured in the country. But the government seems to be letting a lot of things go. People are walking the streets. Women are walking the streets, not wearing any of the traditional coverings. Your thoughts on that? What's going on with Iran here?
Well, I think the regime is extremely weak. I think Iran's decision to allow October 7th to happen has turned out to be a total strategic disaster for them.
Yeah.
Because they had these proxies in Gaza and in Lebanon, right? So they had Hamas and Hezbollah. They've got the Houthis. Then they've got their own actual military. And you've seen a lot of humiliation. I mean, Hamas has been decimated, top leadership killed. Hezbollah decimated. The pager operation. I mean, the Israelis had unbelievable intelligence penetration into Hezbollah, and even their top guy, both top guys, Hamas and Hezbollah, dead. A lot of their capabilities cut off at the knees. Iran tried a few direct attacks against Israel and failed miserably. The Israelis responded, and by the way, with our help, I should point out. The Israelis responded by basically making it clear to the Iranians, we can get into your house and into your bedroom and stand over you as you sleep.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
You really don't have any type of defense system that you think you have. And after all of that, Donald Trump got elected in the United States, who's going to be a lot tougher on them than Biden or Kamala Harris. So, I mean, I think Iran made a big miscalculation with October 7th and all of their, terrorism support. And now it's biting them hard. And then domestically, they're looking around and saying, the economy's in real trouble.
Yeah.
Our regime is in trouble. maybe we don't have the wherewithal, and maybe it would be actually even worse to try to do more internal crackdowns at the moment. I don't know. I don't have a perfect insight into, their mentality, but they have not been weaker in years, and now they have an American president who, despite these talks, I trust Team Trump on these talks, and not to give away the farm far more than I would trust previous Democratic administrations. And, Trump also keeps saying, look, we want to make a deal, but unless the deal is really, really good, our friends in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem are going to come knocking, and we're going to have their full back. So not a great moment for the mullahs in Tehran, and we'll see what they do in these negotiations.
Last question for Guy Benson. I'm going to give it to Joe Lode, who's been waiting patiently. Joe, quick question for Guy. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm first of all, let me say I do listen to you, Guy. I like the show. But I want to bring this topic up. Everybody talks about the whole Trump, and he's going at this tariff, and he's headstrong. Sometimes I think you have to oversteer in order to put the vehicle back in the right direction. And nobody really talks about Bill Clinton and NAFTA and how this country really got in trouble years ago. And I think he's just trying to right the ship. Let him go and let him see what he can do. It can't hurt.
Actually, I don't think NAFTA played the role you think it played, but I'll let Guy take that.
Well, I mean, I think it's a fair point. I appreciate listening to the show. And I think that is one of the theories here. On the NAFTA point, Trump railed against NAFTA and then renegotiated it and started a brand new deal when he was president last time. Right. USMCA, that was his own deal. So it's kind of weird to say, oh, we're getting ripped off from these countries. It's his own deal that he negotiated and called a giant win for the country.
The same thing with Canada. The same on dairy and eggs and all of that with Canada.
Right. That's part of USMCA. That was NAFTA 2.0 Trumpified. And in a number of ways, it was better, right? I think he did get some improvements, and he was right to call it a win. But he's like, well, we want to go further. So that's the point of oversteering. Yeah. I think it's fine. I don't agree with the premise that it can't hurt. I think it is hurting, and I fear that it could hurt more. Consumers want prices to go down, not up. Businesses need to figure out how to invest or not. That being said, if the theory of the case that the listener just pointed out is correct, then what we need is a bunch of new deals and agreements announced as soon as possible, saying, all right, we oversteered in one direction hard to get everyone's attention and sort of shock the system. And now here's what we've done with the Japanese. Here's what we've done with the South Koreans. Here's our new deal with the Brits. Here's why it's better for us. Those tariffs now come down because they played ball, and we're going to do that many times over, with the big focus being on China, because the Chinese really do need to be dealt with more harshly than some of these other countries.
There's a hole that we've dug. It's certainly with China. Guy Benson, Joe, thank you for that. Guy Benson, thank you. By the way, we've covered everything. You can take tonight off, I think.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you so much. Have a great day. Guy Benson. And you can hear him tonight at 7 p.m. from 7 till 10 on WIBX.
A very centered and level approach, and I think you heard a lot of that there.
I like him a lot.
Great job by Guy.
He can look at both sides, and he can look at it very fairly. And you would not be wasting your time to tune in each night at 7 o'clock for Guy Benson.
Do it old school with Heritage Logging and Tree Removal. The area's go-to land clearing company. They specialize in tree removal, land clearing, stump grinding, and more. For your free estimate, call 315-796-2941 or visit heritagelogging.com.
Hi, I'm Gail, and I've been driving for Whitesboro for about 5 years now. What keeps me coming back is all the kids. I love seeing their faces and their excitement. I get to be the first person that they see at the beginning of the day. It's the best district that I've ever worked for. I wish I'd come sooner. They truly care about the students and the other drivers. If you're thinking about it, do it. Give Andy a call at 315-768-9740 or stop by the garage, 20 Wood Road, Whitesboro.
This station is brought to you by John's Mobile Home Parts and Accessories in Oriskany Falls. For all your mobile home needs, it's worth the trip. Visit johnsmobilehomeparts.com for more info.
Good morning, WIBX 950 AM, 92.3 FM. I'm Megan Stone with your news update, brought to you by the new destination Kia of Utica, Commercial Drive, Yorkville. New York State Police identified the victim who died from a reported assault on Elmer Hill Road in Rome. The incident happened during the early morning hours on May 10th. Police identified the victim as 56-year-old Mark Caparelli, who was taken to Wynn Hospital and later died from the injuries sustained during the incident. At this time, no arrests have been made in connection with the assault. Authorities haven't released further details regarding the incident, including what kind of injuries Caparelli sustained. Authorities believe this is an isolated incident and there is no public threat. Anyone with information is asked to call police at 315-366-6000. The chief of the Syracuse Police Department is revealing more details about a shooting incident in the city. Officers went to an address on North Townsend Street last Tuesday after getting a shots fired call. Chief Joseph Cecile said the first officers who arrived at the scene came up with a plan and that 42-year-old Donnell Hogan fired one time toward an officer. Hogan died in an exchange of gunfire, and Cecile says the officers followed department policy. The Attorney General's office is still investigating. Costco is limiting the amount of gold bars its members can buy. Costco's website says there is a limit of 1 transaction per membership with a maximum of 2 units per 24 hours. The prices of Costco's gold bars have risen since October. A major ratings agency is downgrading its credit rating of the U.S. Moody's Ratings cut the U.S. credit rating down a notch to AA1 from its highest AAA, citing a massive budget deficit coupled with the high interest rates. Moody's was the last to give the U.S. a perfect rating. The S&P and Fitch Ratings lowered their ratings years ago. And there are more than 1,000 confirmed cases of measles across 30 states since an outbreak started in Texas in January. It's not far behind the more than 1,270 cases recorded in 2019. It's only the second time there have been that many cases in 3 decades. Texas is still ground zero of the outbreak with more than 700 cases reported. According to the Centers for Disease Control, 3 people have died, including 2 children. Nearly all of the cases are among those who aren't vaccinated or whose vaccination status is unknown. Your WIBX Weather Center forecast is next. WIBX 950 AM, 92.3 FM. I'm Megan Stone.
We knew May we could still get frost. We had actually talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Frost advisory. Yeah, it does cover up Oneida County for tomorrow morning. Some spots close to freezing, especially into the North Country, but you don't have to be at 32 to get frost. A lot of cloud around today, some sun, a breeze, and about 60. Tonight will clear and cold, upper 30s to mid-30s with areas of frost, especially in the North Country. Sunshine tomorrow, low 60s. I'm meteorologist Ray Stagik at the Weather Channel on WIBX, 950 AM and 92.3 FM.
What do you think on workplace incivility? And I think politics has played a big role in this.
Yeah, you hear a lot of stories about this. I mean, maybe that's what happened in Amazon, as you said. Maybe they're talking politics. But
so, what a time when you're thinking about this topic, and here we are. Police are looking for a man who stabbed another man during an early morning shift in Frankfurt at an Amazon facility.
That's about as uncivil as you can get.
Obviously, there must have been some sort of a dispute, or something was going on there. I kind of wonder what that, and maybe we will find out, but police are still looking for the man right now. On the line right now is a workplace expert who trains leaders from coast to coast. Heather Lyle is with us right now. Heather, good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
You'd have a blast training us. Oh.
And why is that?
Well, you'd be taking, we would bring you new things that you haven't dealt with before, right? And
wow.
you could,
I mean, I just wrote a book, and maybe y'all will give me new content, right?
So what is the, you just wrote the book, so it's not out yet.
June 10th. June 10th is when it comes out.
All right. What's the name of the book?
The book is called Hold the Pineapple, Please, Purposeful Conversations That Build Better Teams, Bottom Lines of Banana Splits.
Okay.
And yes, there's a story behind the banana split thing, but we don't have to talk about that now.
All right. Well, listen, I always thought pineapple was an Italian symbol for peace and welcome.
It is.
Yeah. So that kind of fits right
absolutely.
in. Okay. What, all right, shaming. gaslighting, micromanaging, talking politics. This can all be bad today.
It can be. It absolutely can be. You know, and what is even worse is when people don't have conversations together, eyeball to eyeball. It's, you know, texting or snapping or snarky comments through email and that kind of thing. What I find is that when people don't have the hard conversations eyeball to eyeball, that's where things get lost. And so that's really something that I preach a lot, is just we've got to be able to teach people how to have conversations and know who these people, you know, take a minute to think about who is the person that you're talking to and how do I best message to them that will actually stick with them, you know, and most people don't do that. They don't take a beat to do that. So,
well, you listen, you saw the story that or you heard while you were waiting at a local Amazon facility where, and this was bad, so we don't know the cause.
So unfortunate.
But stabbed in the face. The person was stabbed multiple times in the face. So it's really potentially really bad. But you don't know today. It could be in the workplace. So you get all of that, right? You get your, it could be just a personal conflict with a person. You don't like the person. But in addition to that, you get this one is flirting with this one, or this one slept with this one's wife or girlfriend. I mean, that adds a whole new dimension, and people get, I think, they get furious, and who knows what happens next.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, what I see for employers tend to go off the rails. They don't set the expectations up front for how we're going to have conflict, you know, resolution. And so training your people so they understand what the process is for how to have these conversations with people, you know, within the workplace. How do you talk to the boss that it may be a bully? How do you talk to the coworker who is just wearing you out? You know, and bringing in HR to be able to help you with those conversations as well, too. That's why they're there.
Do you think, I mean, years ago, you used to be able to, and maybe this is an example of things aren't the way they used to be and probably never were. Like, we look back at things like, boy, it used to be, you know, people lived much longer years ago. Well, that's not true. People got along better years ago. Well, that might be true. But I do think that sometimes you think about the old days, and it was dealt with. You go to your boss, and your boss deals with it. Today, nothing can happen without HR.
Yeah, no, and because I think a large part of that is that so many struggle with how to have the conversations in the first place. How do you communicate with others that don't communicate the way that you do? And there's things that you can do about that. I mean, gosh, I teach and train on that all the time. There's books to read, podcasts to listen to, that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, taking just a minute, and I think so often we respond so quickly without actually hearing and listening to what's really going on, and we make assumptions. And when you assume, you lose, right? You lose on a relationship, you lose your temper, you lose all of it. And so taking just a minute to go, okay, what's really happening here, and how do I best respond to this versus just immediate action that you're probably going to regret later.
Yeah. I'm assuming you would recommend making sure that if people work for a corporation or a bigger company, that you take the time to read the handbook.
Yeah, read the hand. Not only read the handbook, but actually have conversations about that. Like what actually is expected. I mean, how many times, and I'm sure you've done this, or you've heard people who've done it. It's like you've read the handbook, you check the box online, and you move on to the next thing, and nobody really reads it. So, are we actually taking the time to talk about the things that really matter? And that's a big piece of this as well too. So,
well, you know that
I'm a big believer.
The handbook never gets used until they're trying to get rid of you. Like, you'll never hear about the handbook until all of a sudden you get a memo that says you didn't follow A, B, and C in the handbook, and you're like, what handbook? I forgot we even had a handbook.
Yeah, there was a handbook.
Yeah, that's a warning sign. Trouble's on the way. So.
Yeah. And so often that's the case. But again, taking the time to actually have the conversations and ask the questions, that's the piece that I feel like is lost. You know, it's just so easy for people to send the text, and we dehumanize things when we do that. And so taking a minute to actually consider where the other person might be coming from is a big piece of it.
All right. All right. Great stuff. We'll be looking for your book when it comes out. Maybe we'll talk to you again.
Oh, perfect. All right. Thanks so much.
All
Appreciate
right.
it.
Thanks so much. Heather Lyle is the workplace expert. Do you agree? I mean, it's to the point now where no problem can be solved at the boss level anymore. And if you're in a small company, you don't feel that. But if you work for a big company, everything goes to HR.
You know, I saw that in police work, just like every other profession goes through a lot of evolutions, a lot of changes. But I remember when I first came on, if you screwed up, the boss called you in, they chewed you out, called you every name in the book, and you went back out and you did not do that again. And it changed over the years where it was the boss would call you in and they'd say, what a great job you were doing. By the way, here's your counseling memo on what you did wrong. And so you got talked to much nicer, but in the end, you got, maybe something in your file where before you didn't have it.
I think there was an SNL bit over the weekend that was, they call it the sandwich. So something good on the beginning, something good on the end, and in between is the criticism.
Correct.
Right? So, I mean, they kind of mocked it a little bit. But that is, when you start out in that meeting, it's like the way you communicate with your audience is so wonderful. However... you're in.
Exactly.
Not that I've
and at the end, they tell you how great you are.
And then they tell you how great you are, yeah.
We're the power and power equipment. White's Farm Supply.
At Kubota, we want to help you deliver a job done right. That's why we want you to know that new Kubota inventory is arriving daily. You have work to do. We have the reliable, durable, and versatile lineup to help you do it. Visit us at whitesfarmsupply.com.
We're the power and power equipment. White's Farm Supply.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in focus and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. If you're a guy facing divorce, remember, Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on.
518-554-0000, 100 Great Oaks, Albany.
Not everyone who handles your personal information is as careful as you are, which might explain why there's a victim of identity theft every 5 seconds in the United States. Fortunately, there's LifeLock. LifeLock will monitor hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity. And if your identity's stolen, a U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it guaranteed or your money back. Save 40% your first year with my name, Clay, as your promo code at LifeLock.com. LifeLock. For the threats you can't control, terms apply.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
The Potting Shed Antiques in Whitesboro is buying silver, gold, gold-filled, vintage costume, estate jewelry, and U.S. and Canadian coins. They've been your hometown buyer for over 50 years. While other gold and silver buyers claim to offer the highest prices, the Potting Shed Antiques actually delivers. Let Don Hartman take a look at your individual pieces or your entire collection. The Potting Shed Antiques, open Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Please call ahead for an appointment. Visit thepottingshedantiques.com.
With that said, Tim,
yes,
we're going to speak with Sarah Foster Calero, president of Oneida County Tourism, where
it's all happening in Oneida County.
Yeah, I've heard that. I have heard that. Pull that mic nice and.
I'm very familiar. I was on the tourism board.
You were
many years ago. Yes.
Isn't it amazing though when you look at it now?
Oh,
do you feel like there's so much more tourism happening?
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's so much more. Sarah,
because of the savvy leadership.
I believe it. We'll find out about that next Tuesday, by the way, at the county executive's State of the County. Sarah, good morning. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. I know you guys have put out a new travel guide that just recently came out. a lot of promotions, a lot of things happening, much around the Erie Canal.
Yeah, a ton around the Erie Canal. I actually brought a copy with me so you
Nice.
can see it and I can reference it. But yeah, it's a huge year for the Erie Canal, the bicentennial. And we were very aware of this from the state. You know, they've been doing a ton of promotions around it, but we feel that in Oneida County, we're lucky that it comes through our county at so many different points. There's Marcy, of course, but the bigger ones, we have Sylvan Beach, Rome, and Utica. So we really thought, like, we loved our travel guide cover last year. It was the artwork that we used for this IIHF poster. And it's sort of like, man, how do you compete with that?
Yeah.
And we're talking internally, and we were like, what if we run a photo contest for the Erie Canal and see what we can find, you know, what people are taking within the county? And then someone on the team was like, what if we actually use one of those photos if they're good enough for the cover? And I feel that we got, you know, an
really
amazing
cool.
one. It's like showing the working canal. It has the barge on it. But within the guide itself, we have a 4-page spread dedicated to it. We used another one of those gorgeous photos. And then we worked with a volunteer over at the History Center. She wrote an article. So our tagline this year is "Come for the Canal, Stay for the History." So she kind of did like an ode to history in Oneida County. Yeah, and then I mean, there's just so much more new content in it this year that I'm excited
I like
about.
that we've gone back to calling it the Erie Canal. For
As
a while,
opposed to the barge canal.
Yeah,
that doesn't.
Actually, somebody called it the barge canal recently, and there was someone else in the conversation that said, "No, it's not the barge canal.
No, call it the Erie Canal.
It's the Erie Canal because that's what it is.
It is.
That's the history."
Oh my gosh, I know.
Yeah,
I mean, and it's there's just so much centered around it this year. I'm not sure. I mean, if you guys want to talk about this right now, but in October, the Seneca Chief will be departing from the Buffalo Maritime Center. So it's almost like it's a replica boat from the first boat that went on the canal. And the World Canal Conference happening in Buffalo, which is huge for our state anyway. That'll be bringing in tons of people internationally and from across the country. And it'll be stopping in the 3 places I said before, Sylvan Beach, then Rome, then Utica. It's like approximately October 7th. And then we're working with the city of Rome to host a really big event October 11th, which is that Saturday. It'll be at Bellamy Harbor Park. But yeah, I feel like I've been learning a lot about it. And then I was even at the History Center the other day for the telethon, and they had some exhibits and different pieces of history, all types of random ones, like even agriculture, but it all related to the canal.
And the importance of the canal, I mean, really became the gateway to the west.
Exactly.
And it connected that western part of the state to the ocean. I mean, it really is incredible.
I know. No, I mean, I feel fascinated whenever I think about that. I'm like, people built this 200 years ago, and it was just they had so much different like types of things to build it during that time. So
well, and if you come across like where I grew up, at the end of the dirt road, we called it the dirt road. At the end of that road, there was a farmer's field, and in that field was an old cemetery. And the number is almost everyone who had passed away while building the Erie Canal.
Yeah.
Oh,
and it was really
interesting.
incredible.
Yeah.
There's a great book called Wedding of the Waters, which was the building of the Erie Canal. And one of the reasons why the Erie Canal was built was George Washington, when the nation had first been created, was very concerned that what was going to happen was that the western part of the United States would break away from the eastern part of the United States. So he thought the only way we can do this is by basically connecting ourselves with what was the fastest form of transportation back then to create commerce. When you create commerce, then you create all those sorts of things.
Right.
They tried using the rivers, didn't work. Went to Europe, figured out how they did their canal systems, and kind of the rest is history.
Yeah, it changed, really changed.
It changed everything.
It did. Oh my gosh, so much more connectivity.
Cordelia, is that... it's not. We lost Cordelia. Feel free to call back, Cordelia. This is Cordelia. This is Tom in Utica. Hi, Tom. You're on. And you're on with Sarah Foster Calero, president of Oneida County Tourism. Yeah.
What a wonderful job you have. It's you definitely have a wonderful product here with Oneida County. And I'd just like to make mention that the genius behind the Erie Canal, of course, was the Grand Master of Masons and the Grand Master of Knights Templar of New York, DeWitt Clinton. And we just celebrated the 200th anniversary of our commandery here, and we're going to be going to be making some events along with this new upcoming celebration. So let's stay in touch. We'll exchange emails and make sure that this Masonic involvement, and Utica especially, having Clinton be our founder, will work along with you however we can.
Nice.
Yeah, that sounds
great.
amazing.
He's a longtime photographer as well. So, all right, Tom, thanks.
Sure thing.
Okay. And here is Cordelia. Here she is. Good morning, Cordelia. You're on. Good morning.
Good morning. Talking about the Erie Canal, Courtyard Charlie's in Rome was probably one of the first stops they had in Rome when it was rebuilt way back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can remember when the whole road there was just a lot when I was a little girl.
Right.
Yeah, and then they made the road, and back in around 1966, around that area, and it had a snowstorm, and one of the guys down near us had the first snowmobile, so we had our skis, so he towed us up to the top, and we skied all the way down the Courtyard.
That's awesome.
That's so cool.
And you're going to have to get in touch with also Cordelia, who has a wealth of history.
Oh my gosh,
in her noggin.
Anyone who can talk about that history. I mean, I think I'm personally learning more. I've been in this job for a while, but now I'm like, I'm really intrigued by the history of our region.
Yeah.
So anyone we can connect with, I'd love to.
All right, Cordelia, thank you.
And another thing, I was interested in the birdhouse. Where did you get that?
Amazon. It's on Amazon. If you do like a birdhouse camera, it comes up. It's about $99, something like that.
Oh, they sound like fun.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
I hope it amuses my wife, but I don't know.
Because you don't.
I don't. I clearly don't. Okay. What else do you? By the way, where can you get this?
Right at our welcome center. So we were talking right before. We're at Union Station. We are typically there 7 days a week. We will not be open this weekend, but we'll be back to normal 7-day-a-week operation next week.
Will there be a welcome center as people get off the thruway again?
No.
Okay, that's gone. I realize gone.
No one's stopping there anymore.
No, that is eventually supposed to go away. But the main welcome center is Union Station. We're kitty corner to Amtrak, or I would say even diagonal from the DMV. But we have Shondell over there, and if it's just a person who wants to go in, you can not only get the travel guide, but you can get tons of information, brochures.
And what a walkthrough if you've not been to the train station in a while. I mean, it's just beautiful. And Severance, watching it on film in the series,
and being
Severance.
like, I know that place.
It was
I've
so
been there.
cool. Yeah.
Yep. But people can stop in there, and then other businesses, they can reach out to Shondell. She can hook them up with shipping or drop offs.
All right, big summer coming up.
A lot of summer. And I feel like, again, we're talking a lot of stuff with the canal, but as we talk about this travel guide, we have a couple new pieces in it. And one is just all these events that we know about that are happening. Some are the signature annual Woodsman Field Days, Boonville Oneida County Fair, Remsen Festival of the Arts, but we also have ones that are kind of one-off. So Gabby from our team had just reached out to a bunch of partners to be like, what events do you have coming up? So I think this is a phenomenal reference.
Yeah.
And we always take this to the Boilermaker, and people are like, oh, I've lived here my whole life. That's okay. I promise you're going to find something new. You're going to learn about a new business, find about a new event. So pick it up and use it.
You think you know everything there is to know, and then you find some really cool.
The only time you go is when you bring somebody from out of town.
Yes.
Well, that's it. That's typically what inspires people to, and that's actually what we say to use this book for. We're like, if you have family or friends visiting and you're like, what should we do this weekend? Reference this. Like, it'll be...
All right, very good. Let's do this again soon, Sarah.
I know. Thank you guys so much.
And who knows what the state of the county is next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what Pacini might drop.
You never know during that address what he drops.
I don't know. He could have. I was at the Rome Chamber annual meeting yesterday morning, and he was the keynote speaker. And I feel like he sort of alluded to maybe talking about more, but I know Chobani will definitely be a big point of conversation, which is super
it's funny
exciting.
because we have history, but we have things like Chobani, like the Oneida Indian Nation, that are creating new history.
Exactly.
Which is really, really cool. So,
yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I was going to say, just if people want more information, OneidaCountyTourism.com, and then visit Oneida County on social media.
Love it. Sarah Foster Calero, thank you. We'll do it again soon. Stand by.
Utica in the Mohawk Valley, Kevin Fear from Mattress Express. We not only have our new store in Cortland, New York open, our new store in Auburn, New York open, but our Memorial Day sales are on. Why do people come to Mattress Express? Because no one else in New York State has all the brands under one roof. And during our Memorial Day sale, save up to $1,350 on these brands: Tempur-Pedic, Stearns & Foster, Sealy, Purple, Puffy, the Smart Bed by Instant Comfort, which you should compare to Sleep Number, Posh and Lavish, Therapeutic, the largest selection of flex head beds in New York State, and we have now added Simmons, Beauty Rest Black, and Avocado, the big online brand, and Serta Eye Comfort. Nobody has all these brands under one roof. Take up to 5 years to pay with no money down for qualified buyers. We have no credit check payment plans available as well. Call 1-800-NEW-BEDS, go to mattressexpressny.com, and shop with confidence with a 30-day price guarantee.
Don't miss Clinton Tractor Spring Sales Event. We're giving you the best deals of the season on all of our inventory. Thousands of used and new equipment in stock, all in one location. Get 0% financing on new Ferris commercial mowers, Massey Ferguson, and New Holland equipment, and trailers and used equipment as low as 5.49%. Restrictions apply. We're giving you the best deals of the season. It's Clinton Tractor Spring Sales Event.
We are the leader in service, Clinton Tractor.
ClintonTractor.net.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in focus and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. If you're a guy facing divorce, remember, Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on.
518-554-0000, 100 Great Oaks, Albany.
All right, in studio right now is Ray. Do I call you, is it Ray or Raymond?
Either one's fine.
Okay, I'm going to go with Ray, and especially because the name of your business is Sugar Ray's.
Yes, sir.
And talk about what you, first of all, the ghost restaurant. Explain what that means. Not everybody knows what that is.
So basically it's like a kind of a restaurant inside of a restaurant. So I rent out DeCastro's catering hall. It's called DeCastro's 2. And inside of that is my food that I prepare and I cook and my business. So they're being gracious enough to rent me the building and let me occupy the space. We're open Monday through Saturday, 11 to 9, takeout and delivery only.
Nice. And then you add this, which is really only, am I correct in saying it's only available on like DoorDash and that sort of thing?
So you can call. There's a number to call.
For Sugar Ray's.
For Sugar Ray's.
Yeah.
And you can order online through my website. Currently, I'm not on DoorDash.
Got it. Okay. And you can do pickup?
Yep.
Do you do delivery?
Yeah, I offer delivery through DoorDash. So that's kind of where the confusion is. You order on my website, and I contact DoorDash for deliveries.
One of the wonderful things about DoorDash is they deliver for you. One of the wonderful things about DoorDash for DoorDash is the fees are high.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it ends up, in some cases, high all the way around. It dissuades the customer sometimes.
Yes.
And you guys get hit pretty hard, too.
Yeah, that's why my menu isn't on DoorDash. Because I would have to increase the prices to compensate for their charges.
Got it. All right. So go over the menu at Sugar Ray's and the phone number and all that, how people would take advantage.
So I offer original pita sandwiches. I do burgers, Phillies, chicken cutlets. I do some salads, like the one I brought for you today is an apple walnut salad. So it's spring mix with Honeycrisp apples, walnuts, cranberries, and marinated chicken with a raspberry balsamic dressing.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I make everything in-house. I cut my own fries. I make my own chips. I I bread my own tenders. I do everything in-house.
And what is the website?
From the Stanley Theater Studio, WIBX Utica, Rome, W295EI, WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM, a Town Square media station.
What President Trump calls one big beautiful bill advances.
I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Approved last night by the House Budget Committee. Speaker Mike Johnson says,
I'm absolutely convinced we're going to get this in final form and pass it in accordance with our original deadline, and that was to do it before Memorial Day.
But Fox's Madeline Rivera reports.
Some GOP hardliners indicate the bill is still going to need changes before it clears the House. The House Budget Committee's vote to advance the bill is a turnaround after 4 GOP hardliners rejected it on Friday. Some of their concerns included Medicaid work requirements and spending.
The bill funds the president's agenda from border security to tax cuts. Democrats warn Republican Medicaid cuts will take some Americans' health coverage away. Former President Biden has just thanked everyone in a post on X for wishing him well as he now fights cancer.
He was diagnosed with prostate cancer characterized by a Gleason score of 9 with metastasis to the bone. While this represents a more aggressive form of the disease, the cancer appears to be hormone sensitive, which allows for effective management.
Fox's Peter Ducey at the White House. Israel has issued an evacuation order for Palestinians in Gaza's second largest city after more deadly airstrikes over the weekend targeting Hamas. Israel is also allowing food deliveries again after a blockade.
Aid groups say that's put the territory's 2 million plus residents at risk of famine. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu now says his forces will allow a basic quantity of food to be brought in to prevent a starvation crisis. He's previously accused Hamas militants of intercepting and taking humanitarian provisions.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. There's a $20,000 reward in the manhunt for 7 escaped prisoners in Louisiana who broke out of the Orleans Justice Center Friday.
The fugitives broke out through a hole they created in the wall hidden behind a jail cell toilet. Very Shawshank, right? Some of the 7 remaining escapees are facing murder charges for their previous crimes.
Fox's Todd Pyro. 3 others were recaptured Friday. America's listening to Fox News.
Living with everyday pain is like having a voice that always says, no, you can't do that. No, you better sit this one out. It's no way to live. So if pain is affecting you, see how Relief Factor can help get you back to life on your terms. One where you say yes a lot more. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor's unique formula of natural ingredients does not just mask pain, it helps reduce or eliminate it for good. Whether it's your back, neck, joints, or muscles, Relief Factor can help you, as it has for so many others. So call 1-800-4RELIEF and give Relief Factor's 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, less than $1 a day to get your life back. Just go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF, and see how you can say yes to more of everything you want.
In a few hours, President Trump will have a phone call with Russian leader Vladimir Putin. And then later, he'll talk to Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky, continuing to push for a ceasefire. Special U.S. Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff tells ABC's This Week.
They know each other. The president is determined to get something done here. And hopefully, if he can't do it, then nobody can.
We're learning more about a bombing in California over the weekend outside a fertility clinic.
FBI officials say 25-year-old Guy Edward Bartkus, who was killed in Saturday's apparent car bombing, left behind a disturbing online manifesto that seemed to express his view that people should not continue to procreate. Investigators are calling the bombing of the American Reproductive Center's clinic in Palm Springs a, quote, targeted attack of terrorism. 4 people were hurt in the blast, which a senior FBI official called possibly the largest bombing scene we've had in Southern California. Bartkus's father told KTLA-TV that he had not seen his son in more than a decade. He described his son as a follower, easily influenced by others, and that he had burned down the family home when he was 9. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
On Wall Street, stocks could drop at the opening bell. Dow futures down more than 200 points after Friday's U.S. credit rating downgrade by Moody's. Scottie Scheffler has won his 3rd golf major tournament, the PGA Championship, and Scheffler won it easily, 5 strokes ahead of second place at Quail Hollow in North Carolina. In the NBA playoffs,
well, the dreams of a title for the Thunder are still alive. OKC is going to the conference finals.
The final call on ABC after the West's top seed, Oklahoma City, dominated Denver 125-93 in a Game 7 to advance to play Minnesota. There was also a Game 7 blowout on ice. The defending champion Florida Panthers beat Toronto 6-1, advancing to face Carolina in the NHL's Eastern Conference Final. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News.
Good morning. WIBX 950 AM 92.3 FM news time is 8:05. I'm Megan Stone with your news update brought to you by the new Destination Kia of Utica, Commercial Drive in Yorkville. Feels like a late fall day to the start. 46 degrees under cloudy skies. Your full WIBX Weather Center forecast is coming up next. A Staten Island man is under arrest after an upstate raid that officials say stopped millions of dollars worth of black market marijuana from getting to illegal smoke shops in New York City. DEA agents stormed a site in Walworth, that's near Rochester, and found close to 30,000 marijuana plants and 3,700 pounds of processed pot. Agents say the farm was not licensed, and neither are the stores it was headed to. Faridun Ardeli was arrested and charged with helping to run it. The 55-year-old and also a California man that was also picked up could face up to 10 years in prison or more. New York State Police identified the victim who died from a reported assault on Elmer Hill Road in Rome. The incident happened during the early morning hours on May 10th. Police identified the victim as 56-year-old Mark Caparelli, who was taken to Wynn Hospital and later died from the injuries sustained during the incident. At this time, no arrests have been made in connection with the assault. Authorities haven't released further details regarding the incident, including what kind of injuries Caparelli sustained. Authorities believe this is an isolated incident and there is no public threat. Anyone with information is asked to call police at 315-366-6000. A Utica man has been arrested after allegedly stealing from local Price Chopper stores. Utica police say officers were called to an area Price Chopper after 52-year-old Stacy Bailey was reported in the building and allegedly committing larcenies. Bailey is reportedly banned and barred from Price Chopper for repeated thefts. Bailey was arrested twice, one on the 14th and 15th, and charged with third-degree burglary and petty larceny. Utica police say they are working with retail establishments to impose higher felony penalties on repeat offenders. And the start of Memorial Day weekend is coming up, and Central New York residents are seeing steady prices at the pump. AAA says the average cost for a gallon of regular fuel in the Utica-Rome area is $3.24. That's 2 cents up from last week and also a month ago. Nearby Madison County has better prices with an average of $3.11 a gallon. Herkimer County averaging around $3.20. The best prices in Central New York remain in Onondaga County with an average of $3.04 a gallon. Right now, the state average is $3.13, while nationally it's $3.17. An estimated 39 million Americans are expected to travel during the holiday weekend. Your WIBX Weather Center forecast is next. I'm Megan Stone.
We knew May we could still get frost. We had actually talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Frost advisory. Yeah, it does cover up Oneida County for tomorrow morning. Some spots close to freezing, especially into the North Country, but you don't have to be at 32 to get frost. A lot of cloud around today, some sun, a breeze, and about 60 tonight will clear and cold, upper 30s to mid 30s with areas of frost, especially in the North Country. Sunshine tomorrow, low 60s. I'm meteorologist Ray Stagik at the Weather Channel on WIBX, 950 AM and 92.3 FM.
Your WIBX news time, 8:08, 46 degrees under cloudy skies. Let's take a look at sports. Sports brought to you by the IBEW 43 local sports desk. The Syracuse University men's lacrosse team now knows its opponent in the Final Four. The Orange, they're battling the Maryland Terrapins this Saturday at 2:30 at Gillette Stadium. SU advanced to the Division I national semifinals for the first time in over a decade after holding on for a win over Princeton. Maryland defeated Georgetown yesterday, but they also beat Syracuse when the two teams played earlier this season. The NBA Conference Finals are set. The Thunder crushed the Nuggets 125-93 in Game 7 of their Western Conference semifinal series, so they advanced to the conference finals for the first time since 2016. They face the Timberwolves tomorrow to battle for a spot in the finals. In the East, the Knicks, they defeated the Celtics, so they host the Pacers to tip off the conference finals on Wednesday. The Eastern Conference final in the Stanley Cup playoffs, that's also been set. The Panthers took down the Maple Leafs 6-1 in Game 7. Brad Marchand had a goal and 2 assists and is now a career 5-0 in Game 7s against Toronto. Florida advances to battle the Hurricanes tomorrow. Meanwhile, the puck drops in Dallas for the Western Conference Final on Wednesday. The Stars taking aim at Connor McDavid and the Oilers in Game 1. The Yankees captured their rubber match against the Mets after earning an 8-2 victory in the finale from the Bronx. Cody Bellinger led the way at the plate after going 3 for 3 with a grand slam and 6 RBIs. Ryan Stanek suffered the loss after allowing 4 runs, one of them earned. In his relief appearance, the Pinstripes lead the AL East. They host the Rangers for a 3-game series tomorrow night. The Mets visit the Red Sox for a 3-game set tonight. Major League Baseball suspending the Phillies closer for performance-enhancing drugs. Jose Alvarado has been banned for 80 games. He is also ineligible to pitch in the postseason. It said Alvarado used a testosterone drug in the offseason to help him with weight loss and didn't knowingly take it for performance enhancement. Scottie Scheffler is a major champion. Once again, Scheffler won the PGA Championship after finishing atop the leaderboard at 11 under par. It's the third major championship in Scheffler's career. Harris English, Bryson DeChambeau, and Davis Riley finished tied for second at 6 under par. Jordan Spieth did not complete the career Grand Slam after failing to make the cut. And in NASCAR, Christopher Bell is $1 million richer. He won the NASCAR Cup Series All-Star race. The driver of the number 20 car overtook last year's winner, Joey Logano. Ross Chastain, Alex Bowman, and Chase Elliott rounded out the top 5. The field returns to the regular season Sunday at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Rookie Robert Schwartzman, he won the pole position for the Indy 500. He had a 4-lap average speed of 232.79 miles per hour during the Firestone Fast 6 this week. Schwarman is the third rookie racer to claim pole position for the race and the first since Tio Fabi in 1983. Takuma Sato and Pato O'Ward will start alongside Schwartzman on the front row for the Indy 500 this Sunday. Your WIBX news time is 8:11, 46 degrees under cloudy skies. WIBX 950 AM, 92.3 FM. I'm Megan Stone.
Celebrate AmeriQ Credit Union's 75th anniversary with an extra 0.75% off your auto and rec loans. Apply today at ameriq.org/loan sale.
Looking for an insurance agency that treats you like family? Look no further than WB Payne Insurance, a family-owned and operated agency serving the community for over 65 years. At WB Payne Insurance, they understand that family comes first, and they're here to protect what matters most to you. Whether it's your home, your car, or your business, they've got you covered. WB Payne Insurance. Learn more or get a quote today by visiting WBPayneco.com. WB Payne Insurance, protecting your family like it's their own, with smart solutions to save you money.
Ferris commercial mowers set the bar with racing-inspired patented full suspension and integrated cutting decks so you can go faster, cut better, and not get beat up. Ferris Experience Suspension. Take advantage of the best financing and prices of the year. Visit us at whitesfarmsupply.com.
We're the power in power equipment. White's Farm Supply.
Not everyone who handles your personal information is as careful as you are, which might explain why there's a victim of identity theft every 5 seconds in the United States. Fortunately, there's LifeLock. LifeLock will monitor hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity. And if your identity's stolen, a U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it guaranteed, or your money back. Save 40% your first year with my name, Clay, as your promo code at LifeLock.com. LifeLock. For the threats you can't control, terms apply.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Hi, this is Ray Durso of the Genesis Group. If you're interested in keeping up with events and news in the Mohawk Valley region, I have the show for you. It's called This Week in the Mohawk Valley, and it airs every Sunday on WIBX. Join us as we talk with area business leaders, elected officials, law enforcement, educators, and more. Don't miss This Week in the Mohawk Valley every Sunday at 9 a.m. on WIBX 950 AM, 92.3 FM.
WIBX. This is Keeler. WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM. Now back to the Keeler Show.
All right, on the phone line right now is Samantha Colosimo Testa, and there was a vote the other night, and it did not go by the way of eliminating the deputy fire chief situation. Samantha's on the line now. Good morning.
Good morning. And just to clarify, it's the assistant chief.
Assistant chief. The assistant chief.
There's still four deputy
Correct.
chiefs.
My
and then you have a
apologies.
fire chief.
Okay, so obviously it was you and Carcone who voted for this. Everybody else voted against, so it was bipartisan. What are your thoughts?
So here's the thing, and I'll give you a little background to how this came about. So after a couple weeks ago, and I sent you the messages so that you had them.
Yep.
I received some information that Mayor Galimi was sending messages to people that the Common Council cut the budget, and there's, we're in budget constraints, and, this is the problem and issue why we can't enforce codes and so on and so forth. So one of the things that came about was 1203 and ROP inspections through the fire department during the budget discussion, so on and so forth. So when I got that, I sent an email to the city clerk's office, and I said, hey, can you do me a favor? I said, can you put this legislation in? I said, let everybody know it's to have a discussion with codes, it's to have a discussion for ROP inspections, so on and so forth. I get an email from the mayor the next couple of days. There's a TikTok video that's made that says this is all retaliatory, so on and so forth. Now, in the meantime, I have no idea anything that anybody's talking about. Supposedly, there was a letter that was sent to the president of the union stating that his leave was going to get terminated. I don't even know the ins and outs of it.
Yeah.
I ended up finding out that it was like 7 days later, after I presented the legislation, that his leave got denied, which had nothing to do, again, with the legislation that was being presented. So once I get an email, it's from the mayor's office and the corporation council, basically stating that the assistant chief's position couldn't be eliminated unless the position was vacant. You eliminated $3.6 million out of the ambulance service, and you cut 50 jobs from the fire department. So I'm going back and I'm thinking, we're looking at budget constraints. In the past 4 years, the assistant chief's position has increased in salary about $40,000. So back in like 2020, it was at $104,000. As it currently stands, it's about $140-something thousand.
Yeah.
So, in discussions, I'm thinking to myself, what has increased in job descriptions that, the pay increased that much. So that was kind of another reason that I chose the assistant chief's position, because I'm kind of like, what are the duties and responsibilities that we have? So in the meantime, as I find out that this contract was signed back in 2019 from the previous administration, at the time Mayor Galimi was the council president on the board of ENA. He sponsored that legislation, and Councilman Lemenico was on the council. When they sat on the board of ENA, they approved this contract that basically eliminated the powers of the council. So I'm trying to summarize this very, very briefly, because this is like an ongoing issue that happened over a 3-week span. So if you have any questions, please stop me.
Okay.
So after I send the email, and now I'm thinking to myself, well, why would there be a no elimination clause for the chief and the assistant chief? Like, what transpired that you would include that in the contract? Like, I think we have a fine police chief. I think we have a fine deputy chief for the police department. Why didn't they get those same stipulations? Now, what it ends up doing is it ends up taking away the powers of the Common Council. So I call for a meeting. This meeting was scheduled for 2 weeks. We invited the chief. We invited the assistant chief. We invited the public safety commissioner. We invited, members, anybody that wanted to attend the meeting, including the union president and their attorney. The only people that showed up on that Monday meeting was the president of the union and the fire chief. And I think when you heard him on your radio show, they said that the fire chief went in and he stated that, after the vote of no confidence, he was going to go in and he was going to have discussions, and none of that's happened. So my whole thing is, why wouldn't you show up to the meeting on Monday if you had nothing to hide and you had a solution and you had some reasoning that you didn't want this position eliminated and you were fighting for it? I would assume that you would have showed up on that Monday meeting.
Yeah.
So anyways, during this whole discussion too, there was an ongoing suit between the Utica Paid Firemen's Relief Association and the union.
Yeah.
Over funds that were there and so on and so forth. So in all this discussion that's coming up, I find out that the assistant chief was represented by members of the corporation council during this ongoing lawsuit. At the same time, and they were paid, I think, close to like $90,000 in that suit, and there were a number of members of corporation council that took that representation. I find out that this contract was also signed. All right, and that was about around the year of 2021. Mm-hmm. So again, I wasn't on the council. I didn't know any of this was going on. Yep. So in Monday's discussion, and even following Wednesday's discussion, each council person had a different perspective on what they felt was right, what they didn't feel was right, and that's all fine and dandy. The reason that it was pulled out of committee was they said it was retaliatory. Now my question is, why would the council would be okay? And again, this is under the previous administration. Right. So if you look at who pulled it out of the committee, I mean, there's still a a D next to their name. Okay. Yep. And I think that they wanted to squash that discussion because how are you comfortable moving on something when you don't even have a discussion publicly with the chief or the assistant chief in regards to these positions? So make a long story short, in that discussion, we were told that, possibly there was a reason that they didn't want to come down and have this discussion publicly because it could be used against them in court if this legislation were to pass. Right. And the administration would bring us there. So that to me was just a red flag in itself. I'm okay with the legislation being defeated because, number one, if you looked at the email that the mayor sent, they said, and the chief sent, they were okay with eliminating the chief fire marshal. They looked at from another standpoint, there was a possibility for an administrative chief position. My problem is that, again, you don't have a discussion with the rest of the council. Right. I had no idea they were pulling it out of committee and voting it down. But we had the assistant chief and the chief at the table. No one asked questions. I mean, it's just, again, it seems like they're still trying to protect, what happened in the previous administration because no one had any answers to anything and they were okay with voting on it.
So this vote was bipartisan.
So it wasn't bipartisan to take it out. They wanted to keep it in committee. So that went actually 5-4. Because we still did have some discussions, but at the time, no one was comfortable eliminating that position because we didn't have any discussion on it.
Would you be against an independent person, somebody to dig into this situation? Because there's a lot of accusations being made.
There is, and like I said, this all came out in a memo that we received from the mayor after I put this legislation in.
Would you support that?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I mean, here's the thing. We also have budget constraints, so I'm not going to go and put the city on a $60,000 bill for something that, wouldn't even have an outcome because, again, you still have the majority protecting it. And we did have that discussion, Bill, about possibly seeking further action if we were to pass this in legal courts. And again, why would a majority of people that are protecting and were there at the time that all these contracts are signed and actually signed the contract and approved the contract incriminate their own selves?
Right. Okay.
So again, you go back to that problem of that's the issue that we have.
But if
I personally, yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah, absolutely. All right. Because sometimes you got to get some answers. And what bothers me is that the council's sole responsibility is the complement of the fire department and the police department. What you're telling me now is I don't have that authority anymore. Yeah. And if you read the contract, it said that there's legislative intent, and it says that the contract is not fully void, will be voided or something along those lines. That if there was no legislation passed to eliminate the powers of the common council, how do you add that in a contract?
Right. Okay.
So if you go back and you think about, it was a couple of years ago that the police department wanted the residency requirement waived, and the previous mayor had sent down legislation stating that the residency requirement waiver should have been in there in order for it to be in the contract. Now that couldn't be put into the contract, not having a residency requirement for the police department, unless the council eliminated that or voted to eliminate that because that was in their purview. So this happened very similar. And what I find ironic is that not one person on the council, I mean, even the council person that sponsored it said, I don't remember signing that contract. Right. No one knew that there was a no elimination clause. So, you go back to even during the budget season, say you wanted to eliminate the position of assistant chief. You couldn't eliminate that even for a budgetary constraint for the simple fact that they're saying that they have that in a contract. So basically you had to eliminate 50 firemen in order to get to that position.
All right.
It seems like it just doesn't end, Bill.
It does seem like it doesn't end. There is no doubt. And maybe it means somebody from the outside taking a look and getting to the bottom of it. So, all right. Let's see where it goes. I'm sure this will continue into next week.
Okay, Bill. Take care.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks. All right.
Councilwoman Samantha Testa for the Common Council in Utica. That does seem like it never ends. Do you feel that way? A little bit?
Yeah.
A little bit.
I think the independent person looking into it
was the only way to go. Yep.
Keeler in the morning. Brian Kilmeade, Jimmy Fallon, and Sean Hannity during your workday. WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM.
The Potting Shed Antiques in Whitesboro is buying silver, gold, gold-filled, vintage costume, estate jewelry, and U.S. and Canadian coins. They've been your hometown buyer for over 50 years. While other gold and silver buyers claim to offer the highest prices, the Potting Shed Antiques actually delivers. Let Don Hartman take a look at your individual pieces or your entire collection. The Potting Shed Antiques, open Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Please call ahead for an appointment. Visit thepottingshedantiques.com.
Clearing out your home or commercial building, John's Cleanouts and Property Preservation will handle it for you. We handle residential or any size commercial property, before and after estate sale cleanouts or any junk removal service. John's Cleanouts and Property Preservation is a 5-star rated and background checked business, providing service you can count on, and we're fully insured in the industry. Call John's Cleanouts and Property Preservation today and take the stress out of your mess.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in focus and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. If you're a guy facing divorce, remember, Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on.
518-554-0000, 100 Great Oaks, Albany.
Not everyone who handles your personal information is as careful as you are, which might explain why there's a victim of identity theft every 5 seconds in the United States. Fortunately, there's LifeLock. LifeLock will monitor hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity. And if your identity's stolen, a U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it guaranteed, or your money back. Save 40% your first year with my name, Clay, as your promo code at LifeLock.com. LifeLock. For the threats you can't control, terms apply.
Good morning, WIBX 950 AM 92.3 FM. I'm Megan Stone with your news update, brought to you by Adirondack Home Furniture. Utica police are asking the public to help them in a shooting investigation where a male juvenile was shot in the leg. According to police, the incident was reported at the 900 block of Sunset Avenue Friday evening. The juvenile was treated and their injuries are said to be non-life-threatening. The Major Crimes Unit is looking into the incident. At this time, no further details have been released. Anyone with knowledge of this incident can leave a 100% anonymous tip to the Mohawk Valley Crime Stoppers via the P3 Tips app or by calling 866-730-8477. The start of Memorial Day weekend is coming up, and Central New York residents are seeing steady prices at the pump. AAA says the average cost for a gallon of regular fuel in the Utica-Rome area is $3.24. That's 2 cents up from last week and 1 month ago. Nearby Madison County has better prices with an average of $3.11 a gallon, while Herkimer County is averaging around $3.20 a gallon. The best prices in Central New York remain in Onondaga County with an average of $3.04 a gallon. Right now, the state average is $3.13 a gallon, while nationally it's $3.17. An estimated 39 million Americans are expected to travel during the holiday weekend. A Staten Island man is under arrest after an upstate raid that officials say stopped millions of dollars worth of black market marijuana from getting to illegal smoke shops in New York City. DEA agents stormed a site in Walworth, that's near Rochester, and found close to 30,000 marijuana plants and 3,700 pounds of processed pot. Agents say the farm was not licensed, and neither are the stores it was headed to. Ferry Nardelli was arrested and charged with helping to run it. The 55-year-old and a California man that was also picked up could face 10 years in prison or more. Major ice cream brands are recalling nearly 18,000 containers of ice cream and frozen yogurt products due to possible plastic contamination. Both Blue Bunny and Halo Top are taking back 22 different flavors of their frosty desserts all across the country. The FDA says a voluntary recall was issued late last month for 3-gallon tubs sold by Wells Enterprises. The administration categorized the recall a Class 2, meaning anyone who has consumed the product could suffer temporary or medically reversible adverse health consequences. Your Weather Center forecast is next. WIBX 950 AM, 92.3 FM. I'm Megan Stone.
We knew May we could still get frost. We had actually talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Frost advisory. Yeah, it does cover up Oneida County for tomorrow morning. Some spots close to freezing, especially into the North Country. But you don't have to be at 32 to get frost. A lot of cloud around today, some sun, a breeze, and about 60. Tonight will clear and cold, upper 30s to mid-30s with areas of frost, especially in the North Country. Sunshine tomorrow, low 60s. I'm meteorologist Ray Stagik at the Weather Channel on WIBX, 950 AM and 92.3 FM.
Let me bring in Assemblywoman Marianne Buttonshaw. And I believe, Marianne, am I correct in saying it's over?
The state budget did pass all 10 bills.
Okay. Wow. All 10 bills passed. Good morning.
Good morning. And following Mr. Buckley is always something.
Good luck. I can't hear. You can't. Just grab some headphones. We'll get you some headphones. Okay, Marianne. Let me ask you, what do you like? What didn't you like? Give us what you can give us in a nutshell here.
So I have 2 hours with you?
Yeah, I can only imagine. Yeah.
No, so clearly many difficult aspects. I know one of your callers talked yesterday about the state ops within that bill that
the Letitia James. Yep.
Yeah, and you know what the problem is there isn't a clear answer. Can it move over into the private? So I could not support that. Obviously, if you had
those that don't know, and if you haven't seen it, there was a bill that would have possibly allowed taxpayers to be paying for a private lawsuit against Letitia James that is not anything to do with, you can't, it was a real estate deal. So totally private. And you agree there's no way that taxpayers should be paying for that.
Absolutely not. They should not be paying. And I guess to the point is we always see that someone in their capacity, as you had stated, as a state official, if they're sued, which happens quite frequently. So her name is not named in it. But more importantly, when you look deeply into the bill, it doesn't clarify if it could possibly be used for private doing. So that's why within that process, it's something that can't.
Okay. So you were unable to vote for that.
Right. And probably the most significant is when we look at, we had already talked about the importance of public protection in regards to we cannot close prisons. What we need is an independent investigation, which I carry a piece of legislation that talks to that, is if we're going to say there's a problem, we're not going to target and just say, let's just close this and it'll solve. What we need to do is look at the system as a whole. So could not support that because it just doesn't work. As far as education, I have the state aid runs, which is the funding that will come to the districts that I represent. As you look at those runs, they clearly state that none of the schools that I represent have lost funding. However, they could have lost funding within capital. So we do see some capital changes that had occurred. Within understanding the bell-to-bell did pass, there is some discrepancy or latitude that was put in there to allow districts to continue, possibly if they have a policy that they feel is working.
To keep their own policy.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just hard to say because as I commend the districts that already have taken this on and we're ready to go, and we don't want to destroy those. within that, also a very important aspect of the unemployment insurance. As the chair of small business, after COVID, many of our small businesses were faced with the challenge of the debt, the funding that we had borrowed from the federal government and needed to pay back. So we placed that in to get that off the backs of our small businesses. Discovery.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Was also within there. But again, when all DAs but one across the state of New York approved it, then I feel that them being at the table, ensuring what they need, to me was very important. And a debate, was it watered down? I do think so. The mask, but they are confident with it, and they're the experts.
So it is. What do we know, Will? What is the requirement now?
It's quite detailed. They have to maintain a timeline for disclosure of materials at 48 hours before the grand jury testimony. And the governor had a proposal of 24 hours. So it moved to 2 days instead of 1 day.
Okay.
There's exceptions that when no grand jury is available within the necessary timeline, then materials can be provided within that 24-hour period. But I would lean to our DA. He is very well involved and in tune, that I think he could probably find a little bit more clearer understanding of the points.
All right. And then on the, I would like to go back to the cell phone ban at schools. Is it, do they have an opt-out? Do the school districts have an opt-out, or are there things they have to follow? It seems very ambiguous.
It is. And I think when you use the word bell to bell, so there was debate on, is it the bell to bell for the period, or is it the bell to bell? So what I envision is the district putting forward a proposal similar to, again, what many of them have already done, and determining this is what's best for our district, which was initially what we wanted, instead of this, it can't be done. But I don't think we're done with that. And again, my biggest fear is next year, districts coming back saying this is an unfunded mandate, and we need to make sure that we fund it, which we shouldn't.
All right.
I would rather teachers.
I have one more question. Robert Smullen, Assemblyman on the other side of the aisle, said he feels that this budget will it will force more upstate New Yorkers to move out of New York State because of the budget. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it is a known fact. And when you look at population and individuals that have exited, yes, very important. But also, when you look at what individuals are advocating for when it comes to our schools, our CHIPS funding, and so many other aspects, that we got to make sure that if we're going to prioritize and ask people what they want, obviously we have to provide the resources. So is he correct? Is the data looking at individuals that leave the state of New York? Absolutely. But more importantly is, what can we do to keep them to be here? And I'm not saying, listen, it's been a fight, and I continue to fight for this area, because some of the points of this, as far as the resources that are necessary, to me are not realistic. But as I told you yesterday, it's a plus and minus to look at a bill that's 1,000 pages long to say what is best for this district.
Right.
And
all right. Well, we'll hopefully get you in here next week, and we can get into it a little further. But the good news, I guess, is the budget is done.
Well, it's just, we had a deadline. We should have met it.
Yeah.
And I think more importantly, you do it in your life every day. We all should be doing it. And I think that more importantly is we will extend session so that we can get more work done. So we've already been told that we will have an extension in session and be in Albany longer.
All right.
So
okay, Assemblywoman Marianne Button-Sean, thanks for keeping us up to date on all of this.
well, thank you, and have a good day.
You do have a great weekend. The rain is going to stop, so they say.
Yeah.
Let's hope.
And to all the mothers, happy Mother's Day this weekend.
Happy Mother's Day. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, Marianne Button-Sean, it is Mother's Day. I kind of forgot about that this weekend.
Yeah.
And the rain's going to stop.
Contractors and landscapers, be able to take on more jobs and get your current projects done with Warner Sales and Service. Whether it's the tough lifting and digging or the more precise work with attachments, Warner Sales and Service has the Bobcat rental to make sure your projects get done. Tough work demands tough equipment, so stop in today at Warner Sales and Service, just off Route 365 between Rome and Verona, and at WarnerSS.com.
Where quality still counts at Warner's.
Memorial Day savings are here, and that means time to upgrade for summer. Adirondack Home Furniture is overstocked in every department, so come take advantage of their amazing deals on sofas, dining sets, bedrooms, outdoor poly furniture, and more. Right now, take advantage of their lowest prices of the year on select items, or 4 years, 0% interest financing. Adirondack Home Furniture has a large line of quality USA-made furniture from top manufacturers. Something for every room, any size, inside and out. From modern to farmhouse, rustic to transitional, with free local delivery and a professional, knowledgeable staff, you'll have your dream home in no time. Plus, salespeople are non-commissioned, so you'll enjoy a relaxing, no-pressure experience. Celebrate Memorial Day and save big at Adirondack Home Furniture for living rooms, dining rooms, bedrooms, home office, and patio at their lowest prices of the year. Adirondack Home Furniture, Riverside Center in North Utica, or at AdirondackHomeFurniture.com.
Not everyone who handles your personal information is as careful as you are, which might explain why there's a victim of identity theft every 5 seconds in the United States. Fortunately, there's LifeLock. LifeLock will monitor hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity. And if your identity's stolen, a U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it guaranteed, or your money back. Save 40% your first year with my name, Clay, as your promo code at LifeLock.com. LifeLock. For the threats you can't control, terms apply.
Do you love yard sales? Then get ready for the world's largest yard sale. Why spend your whole weekend driving from sale to sale when you can find all the treasures in one epic spot? It's the world's largest yard sale, sponsored by the Potting Shed Antiques, featuring over 150 vendors in one place, packed with antiques, furniture, tools, name brand clothes, kids gear, toys, collectibles, and tons more. Skip the driving, skip the guessing. Park once, shop tons, and score big deals. The world's largest yard sale is Saturday, June 14th, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Herkimer County Fairgrounds. Bring the family, bring your friends, bring your bags, and bring your treasure hunting spirit. The world's largest yard sale at the Herkimer County Fairgrounds, June 14th from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. featuring the jazz sounds of the Dove Tones. Sponsored by the Potting Shed Antiques, John's Mobile Homes and Accessories, Standard Heating, Cooling, and Insulating, Clinton Tractor and Implement Company, and James Mitsubishi.
Hey, everybody in upstate New York. I don't know where in upstate New York, but thanks for listening to the Keeler Show. Never met this man. Don't know why I'm telling everybody to listen, but thank you very much. By the way, this is Larry David from Curb Your Enthusiasm. I have nothing else really to say to you, but I thank you for listening to me, tell you to listen to this man, Bill Keeler, on WIBX.
WIBX. This is Keeler. WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM. Now back to the Keeler Show.
I don't know if you recall this story about a murderer hiding out, living like no one ever knew. Living out, hiding out in Little Falls, right down the thruway from us. The book is called A Second Shot. It's written by Dr. Michael Weisberg, and he is on the line right now. Doc, good morning. Thanks so much for coming on.
Good morning, Bill, and thank you so much for having me on your show.
So let's, the book is called A Second Shot, The Pursuit of Justice in Maryland's Oldest Cold Case Murder, which brings us to our area in Little Falls. Let's start with the background on the story and obviously on the book.
Okay, well, the Little Falls connection comes in where Larry Smith, who is the man accused of murder, was born in Little Falls and was there till he was 7 and adopted, and eventually moved down to Maryland with his adopted family and his 3 siblings who were adopted along with him. Once the crime had occurred in 1971, the murder of a deputy sheriff, whose daughter 50 years later was my patient in Plano, Texas, and that's how I got involved in this case. She came to me and asked me to write a book about the solving of the murder of her father, because I had written 2 previous books that were novels that she and her husband both enjoyed. So I said, sure. Well, initially I was kind of skeptical because I'd never written a true crime book before, but then I said, sure, I'd do it. Now, as far as Larry Smith, he, after leaving Maryland in 1980, moved back to Little Falls. His adopted family name was Larry Becker, and he changed it back to Larry Smith when he moved back to Little Falls, married and had a family, 3 children there, and lived there for the remainder of the time until the present time.
So I seem to recall that they had discovered that he was basically just hiding out, unassuming. I mean, no one knew. They just thought he was just a regular guy.
You have to remember there were 50 years that went by, and no one even thought of him as a suspect. Everyone in Rockville, Maryland, and Montgomery County, Maryland, was focused in on 5 boys who, at the same night, were breaking into Coke machines at the country club where the murder occurred. And one of those boys was the one who had done other things that were against the law, and the police and everyone focused in on him. It's what we call tunnel vision in both medicine and in police work, where you find one suspect and zero in on them and forget about everyone else. But it wasn't until 3 female detectives reopened the case in 2021 and went through the different evidence that was in the case, including a reel-to-reel tape that had never been digitalized, in which they ended up getting the FBI to digitalize, that they found a conversation and interrogation with Larry Smith, at that time Larry Becker, where he named himself as being at the scene of the crime and got a couple of the important details right. In murder cases and police cases, they have what they call holdback.
Yeah.
Evidence is not released to the public. And the evidence that wasn't released to the public, one of them was that part of it was that there was a second shot, not just one shot, but 2 shots. The first shot hit the sheriff's flashlight. It was a dark, rainy night, and the sheriff's flashlight was knocked from his hand. And the second shot was the kill shot, which hit him in the back of the head and caused his demise 3 days later in the hospital. So he had, on this reel-to-reel tape, with the investigation with 3 law enforcement officers who were involved in the prison and who didn't know anything about the case itself, talked about the second shot and talked about the deputy sheriff, J.T. Hall, having a flashlight. And that's what led the 3 female detectives in 2021 to consider him a suspect and to go about trying to talk to him and eventually obtain a confession from him.
Wow. It does make you wonder, doesn't it? Where you could be living in a neighborhood, the people that you know, that you think you know, maybe you don't know. And Little Falls will be a really good place to hide out. Of course, having ties to there, I'm surprised that's where he went. It may have been better if he went to another community where he didn't have ties.
If you read the book, it's a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
As far as his guilt and whether or not he did this, what goes on. I also focus a lot on the family, the Philo Hall family, Philo, who were the ones that got me into the case. They were all in law enforcement. His son-in-law was a policeman. His nephews were police. They were all in law enforcement and how it affected them. But if you look at when they actually found him, was he really trying to hide out? I mean, he was on the internet. He was on Facebook. He had a Pittsburgh Steelers jersey for sale. The only thing he had really changed was his name. But everything else he was the same. He built a life for himself in Little Falls. He'd had a variety of jobs, including working as a security guard. As I mentioned, the man who was murdered, J.T. Hall, was working as a security guard at the Manor Country Club that night. He was also a nurse's aide and had really was a successful citizen. So there was really no reason, other than the fact that this reel-to-reel tape had been found, to suspect that anything could be going on with him.
What was the reason for killing the deputy?
That's no one knows for sure. Now, there was, in addition to the Coke machines being broken into that night, there was a robbery going on that night at a house on the Manor Country Club right across the golf course from the clubhouse. I've been there and I've walked the whole scene, the murder scene, and seen it. And you can see from that house, you can actually see the clubhouse. The people in the house had moved in 1 month before, and they were away that day. And someone broke into the house and was moving their possessions, stealing their possessions, and moving them across the dark, rainy golf course that night to the parking lot, which is where the deputy sheriff J.T. Hall was parked. And they were moving these possessions across there, and it was thought that he came upon them while he was patrolling the parking lot in the country club and said, "What's going on? What are you doing?" And then 2 shots rang out, one of which killed him.
Wow.
It could also be said that he wasn't supposed to be the patrolman on duty that night. That the one who was that 30 minutes before the shift started, the man who was supposed to be there that night called him and said he couldn't make it because of a family emergency. So that he switched and he took that shift, in which he was murdered.
Wow. Some of the reviews on this are really, really good. Talking about your background as both a scientist, as a doctor, and a storyteller adds depth to the book, offering a thoughtful reflection on justice and second chances beyond just a crime retelling. And then from the book review, twisting true crime that readers will never predict. It is quite an amazing story. What do you want for people who may not be familiar with this case? What do you want them to take away in this book?
I think several things. I think first and the family said it well, the Filo family, if someone in your family is murdered or has something done to them, never give up hope that eventually the crime can be solved. Here, 50 years later, just a pair of fresh eyes was able to find that there was evidence and try someone for the case who 50 years before the name wasn't even known.
Yeah.
I think also I'd like to say kind of what you just said as far as this whole thing, this 3-year experience for me was such a roller coaster. It's a second shot because that's what drew the law enforcement detectives, the cold case detectives, to Larry Smith in the first place. But it's also a second shot for the family to, after all these years and never giving up and living with this, to try to have the case of their father's murder solved. And finally, if you read the book, you'll find it was a second shot for me because in the middle of all this going on, I had a terrible health crisis. And I actually had a quadruple bypass surgery for my heart. So that kind of sidelined me, but that gave me my second shot at life.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing the similarity there, right? The second shot similarity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think the title tells a lot. And I also start the book out with what's called the butterfly effect. How a butterfly flapping its wings in Iowa can cause a typhoon or monsoon in Japan. How everything in life is interconnected. And I show how the only patient that I ever received as a referral from this one doctor was Carolyn Filo's mother. He and I overlapped our practice 14 years. She was the only patient I received. She was the wife of the man who was murdered. And then it turned out that because of that, his daughter became my patient, and she ended up being the one who asked me to write the book.
Wow.
And all these things happened because of that one doctor in 14 years, for some reason, decided to send this one patient to me.
Yeah, wow. Really, really interesting. The book is A Second Shot, The Pursuit of Justice in Maryland's Oldest Cold Case Murder. And in parentheses, you should add, includes an amazing story in Little Falls, New York. Pretty wild. So,
absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Doctor, for coming on. And the
Bill,
book,
I really appreciate you having me. I really appreciate you having me on.
I'm assuming it's available wherever you get your books, all over the place.
Exactly. It's published by Intelligentsia Books. It's available, of course, on Amazon as well as in bookstores. And it has gone on sale this week.
All right. Beautiful. All right, Mike, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Again, thank you for having me. It's been my pleasure.
Pretty wild, right? That's a pretty cool connection. There's another story out there. I saw in another documentary where a murder had occurred, and it also had ties to Little Falls. What is it about Little Falls? There was a terrible jeweler murder that occurred back in I believe it would have been the 1980s in Little Falls. What is it about Little Falls?
Mattress Express is proud to announce we have added Simmons Beauty Rest Black, Serta Eye Comfort, and Avocado, the big online brand, to our lineup in all of our stores. Go to mattressexpressny.com or call 1-800-NEW-BED.
Looking for an insurance agency that treats you like family? Look no further than WB Payne Insurance, a family-owned and operated agency serving the community for over 65 years. At WB Payne Insurance, they understand that family comes first, and they're here to protect what matters most to you. Whether it's your home, your car, or your business, they've got you covered. WB Payne Insurance. Learn more or get a quote today by visiting WBPayneco.com. WB Payne Insurance, protecting your family like it's their own, with smart solutions to save you money.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in focus and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. If you're a guy facing divorce, remember, Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on.
518-554-0000, 100 Great Oaks, Albany.
This is Keeler in the Morning. WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM.
Okay, coming up, we'll do Habakkuk's free money question of the day. It's worth $150 here this morning. Angelo is in studio, not quite as cute as Megan, so we're told.
I'm trying.
I think that's
I'm really
a fair
trying.
answer. And also in studio right now is John Howard. John, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So let's go back. You were with us back when we were over at Brock's building.
Yeah, I did a little bit stuff with you. I used to do work at the Courier in Clinton.
So your family owned that, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now, and I'll tell you how this all went down. My daughter is graduating this week. Their colors, school colors, are purple and white, I believe. Anyway, you had some flowers that a student brought in for Teachers Week to my wife, who said, "Oh my God, I got these flowers for my daughter." Then one thing led to another, and it came to you. And then I'm like, "Oh, I know him.
Yeah.
We know him." And
small world.
So you started a farm. So tell us your story, if you could, and starting the farm and what you do.
Yeah, kind of fell into it more or less. Just started growing food for ourselves, my wife and I, and just had more than we could use.
Yeah.
And put it out on the farm stand. That grew into going to the farmers markets, and now here we are today. We started
the name of your farm is
Post Street Farm in Clinton. Yeah.
Technically, Franklin
Springs is what we call it. Yeah.
Which is really cool. Anyway, what are these? Can you have these flowers? That, by the way, I just want everybody to know that I did pay for them. This is not a plug, get something free thing.
Yeah. So we have tulips here.
Those are unique though. They're different types.
Yeah. Allie grows all sorts of different colors.
Allie is your wife.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And I couldn't tell you the variety that they are. But she grows specialty tulips. We don't grow a ton of them, but
so I think my wife said they're like it's a cross between tulips and peonies.
Kind of. Yeah. They kind of look like
purple.
that. Yeah. The purple ones. Yeah. They're very unique for sure.
So you do flowers. You do tell everybody.
Yeah,
what
we
you
do. We do cut flower bouquets. Tulip season's kind of coming to an end, but all through summer we do. Allie does flower bouquets, but our big thing is produce. So we do a ton of lettuce. Mixed loose leaf greens is our big thing. Root vegetables, carrots, beets, radish, and then the staples for farms.
And I'm assuming Thursdays you're at the...
We're at the Clinton Market on Thursdays, and then we have an online farmers market our online farm stand that we stock every week, and that's a Saturday pickup. And
okay.
Yeah. And
so you buy online,
Yep.
and then you pick up from your farm.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yep.
I like that.
Yeah.
How did you go from, because your family owned the Clinton Courier?
Yes. Yeah.
And my guess was, I forget about our conversations, but I like, it was an expectation that you were going to be maybe taking over the paper, and I forget about our conversations from quite some time. But even then, I think you had reservations about that. And how do you go from there to here?
Well, it was just, the media business. It's a tough business. So I kind of traded the lucrative business of media for the lucrative business of farming. So, but there's been a ton of
From the Stanley Theater Studio, WIBX Utica, Rome, W295EI, WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM, a Town Square media station.
A thank you from former President Biden. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. For all the support he's gotten since he was diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer that has spread to his bones.
Presidents Trump and Obama and former Vice President Harris are among past and present world leaders and others wishing former President Biden a successful recovery from prostate cancer. The former president posting on X a picture